Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 62. I hope you saw the length of the video. You're ready to strap yourselves in for a good 4 to 8 hours of Legends of Runeterra content, because this is going to be our seasonals video. If you've been following up with the channel, feel free to go ahead and skip ahead. We've really hammered home a lot of these concepts and a lot of these ideas over the past week. You're just going to be hearing the same story over and over again. But if you're new to the channel, what I want to kind of do here is just give you a little context on the lineup we're bringing, go over the matchups real quick, and then talk about some of the specific things we're looking with each of these decks. And so the context on where we're coming from, right, is we expect quite a bit of Pantheon, and we expect quite a bit of Talia Ziggs. And so we're looking to play lineups that beat up specifically on those decks. We can switch over and show you why. I couldn't just start myself with showing you all a fucking spreadsheet, and so we had the picture of the deck list up there real quick. But now I've got the spreadsheet pulled up. If you're wanting to get some of this info and data for yourself, I grabbed it all from Balco's site. That's at lor-meta.com. It's all easily digestible and everything in here. Wonderful tool for all of you all you nerds out there that like to see the numbers and stuff. But no, it's great work that he's putting forth. But no, again, the idea with this matchup, I've got it split up in two ways here. The table over to the left is the commonality of the decks across the ladder. So Pirate Aggro is the most common deck. Sundisk is the second most common deck. Action Sivir is the least common deck down here at the bottom, and then everything else gets lumped in down there. The tables to the right are what I think to be more important here and really kind of showcase what we're looking to do. And so up here at the top in this section, these decks are all our positive matchups. And the idea, as we mentioned, is we're looking to beat up on Pantheon and Talia Ziggs. Both of these decks I expect to see significant amounts of. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day if we play all 9 rounds. In like 6 of our matches, we saw one of those 2 decks. And then we probably see like 2 full aggro lineups and then just one kind of like oddball thing. But they're like so super strong in this meta against such a large portion of the field. I really suspect that we're going to see a ton of these. And so we brought this lineup in mind. All of the matchups here are pretty good. Pirate Aggro and Yordles and Arms both have 60% plus win rates against those. And then Draven Sion is kind of our fallback. I'm good against everything style deck, but it's still quite good against both of these. And so there's a laundry list of other decks in here that these are basically what I'm considering the, hey, we want to play this. This is the never ban, not considering banning any of these ever kind of section up here where I just highlighted in yellow, headlined by the Pantheon and the Talia Ziggs. Moving down a little bit further, this is the section as to where the matchups aren't as good, but we're probably never going to ban any of these decks. Everything is pretty close to even, where something might even slightly be favorable. So the likes of the Pirate Mirror match, the Sundisk matchup, Vigio on his own, Heimerdinger, Jace, Action Sivir, those decks, everything is like right around 50%. We're never going to need to ban any of this stuff. Further on, the idea here is where we're finally getting into our bad matchups, right? And reasonably, there's not too many of them, and I don't think that these are decks that we're going to see tons of. That is kind of like part B to this strategy. As we look through these decks, I feel like we'll probably see like reasonable amounts in this like not good section here, where it's Trundlemere, Ezreal, Caitlyn, and Veigar Senna. But the ones that I'm like supremely worried about, I don't think we'll see too much of this stuff. Our favorite deck of all time, Scouts, is a nightmare for the lineup that we're bringing. And then the matchup I suspect that we're going to be banning every time is Aphelios Fizz. I think really, realistically right now, it kind of like the actual top of the meta decks are Aphelios Fizz and then Pantheon. And so we're kind of like set up to be ready for that, right? If people are just looking to bring the good decks lineups, if they're bringing Pantheon, Aphelios, Fizz, we have our ban ready in Aphelios Fizz. We're ready for Pantheon. Things are kind of good to go from there. It's just if we run into some of these kind of like control decky lineups that are pretty painful, to where if they bring like Aphelios Fizz into control decks or just this full lineup that murders everything pirates, then we're going to struggle a little bit. But I think with the way that this meta has kind of shaken out and the way that things look, I don't think that that's going to be super likely. Like, I do think that we'll run into our fair share of just burn lineups, people playing like Pirates and Elise Burn and Darius Ziggs, whatever. Just like, hey, I'm playing 3 decks with Decimate in it. I'm not going to say that we won't see too much of that. I mean, we're fucking playing 2 of them, right? But I don't think that people are going to bringing like the full Shadow Isles lists, the full Fairies list, just to focus in on the Pirates end of the spectrum, because then you just get annihilated by Pantheon and Talia Ziggs. And so, if you want to scroll through this and pause the video and take it in and soak it all in, that's fine. Otherwise, we're just going to skip on ahead. But the kind of thing to keep in mind with this is, again, Aphelios Fizz Nightmare matchup. Scouts Nightmare matchup. We're going to just have this matchup table. Basically, work our way from the bottom to the top, right? If we can ban out one of these things, that's great. If we can spend most of our day playing against decks towards the top of the ladder, the top of the list, I should say, that's going to be great and exactly what we're looking to do. And so now, moving on to our deck lists. With that in mind, right, we're looking to play against these go tall strategies, people looking to stack up a singular unit with Yuumi Pantheon. We've kind of developed that into all of our strategies here. And so the ideas here, we're just trying to beat Yuumi Pantheon, right? It's already a good matchup, but we want to make it as good as we can without just sacrificing our decks against everything else. And so with Pirates, we're not playing Gangplank in order to just get the full 3 copies of Twisted Fates. We can't play any more champions. And so kind of idea number 1 with our deck list here is we're playing the full 3 copies of Twisted Fate along with the 2 copies of Arachnoid Sentry. So we have stuns to take down those units. And so if our opponent is trying to just go tall on a Fated Dragon, go tall on whatever that 1-drop is, then we should be able to get 2 things out of these stuns, right? We can either stop our opponent from killing us with like a big rally attack or something, or what's more common is we're moving to attack and we get to stun off their big unit and then play another unit, and we have like this full board of 6 units. They only have like 2 on board and one of them is stunned. And so big tempo swings that we get out of those. And then we're also playing a couple of oddball cards here. We're playing Jack the Winner for reach. So we have a way to just go directly to face with our burn spells. And we're playing a singular copy of Might. Might is a card that we can search up with Zap Sprayfin. And then as we make our final attack in the game, we can crush through with that big overwhelming attack. Also works nicely with things like Island Navigator. Now, the downside to our list, right? We're playing 0 copies of Make It Rain. We're only playing 2 copies of Mirai Warden, and we're only playing 2 copies of Island Navigator. And so while we are, stacked up quite a bit to beat up on Yuumi Pantheon, we have some of the reach so that we can battle with some of the mid-range decks. We've sacrificed some of our strength against the likes of Pirates, and so we are definitely going to be unfavored if we face off against the full burn lineup, especially if they're just playing kind of standard ladder climbing lists. And so if you're playing Pirates and you have like the Gangplank and you have Make It Rains and you aren't playing 3 zaps, then you're going to be much more favored than we would be against you. And so slightly weaker there, but again, against Yuumi Pantheon, we're trying to maximize our powers there. Deck number 2, we're going to be playing Yordles in Arms. We are playing the Yordle Portal in this. This was the recent bit of technology that we picked up here recently. And otherwise, nothing too wild with this. Now, the things that I always preach in terms of Yordles in Arms is the most powerful play that we can be doing is dropping a Boom Baboon on turn 2, Lulu on turn 3, and then bursting off of Flame Chompers. And so you can get the additional Flame Chompers into play with the Scrap Heaps, so it's not just Poro Cannons. We're sort of maximizing. We used to play 3 copies of Scrap Heap, but with the addition of Yordle Portal, we're only playing the 2 copies now. Otherwise, pretty straightforward within the list. We're playing the single copy of Treasured Trash, and then we're playing the Pharaoh's Fancier as a nice mid-game play. Not too many technology options in here against the Yuumi Pantheon. Tried out some Wallops just in case, and I wasn't really happy with them. But kind of in the same vein of the stuns, the Yordle Portal bursting out a unit does give us some exceptionally good open attacks to where Yuumi Pantheon may not be ready for them. Last deck we're bringing is the Draven Sion. Again, with this, we have the same package of packing in 2 Arachnoid Sentries, just an additional bonus against all of the Anti-Pantheon decks. And then the thing that we're running with this is we have the larger burn package. And so we are playing the 2 Nox and Fervors, the 2 Decimates, so we have an additional bit of burn. We have the 2 Pharaoh's Financiers as our kind of late game package, and we aren't playing any of the likes of Captain Farron's, we aren't playing Rummages, we aren't playing Ravenous Flocks. I tried all of those and didn't like any of them. I really enjoy having this kind of burn package to finish off the games. And then I found with the Captain Farron's and the Rummages, like A, we just didn't need any value. We had plenty of it as it was. And B, we were running into too many of these like really weird draws to where we would have both a Sion and a Captain Farron, and they're all just kind of doing the same thing. But we couldn't play enough cards out of our hand. And so we kind of landed on this extended burn package, but along with the Fancier and the Arachnoid Sentry, giving us some more early game plays. And so that's it. That's going to do it. We do, as you know, have to go and turn something premium. We're going to have to make it a special one today as we're going into seasonals. So let's go and get that pay to win price paid. And okay, I've settled on it. We're going to do the World Breaker Sion. I've had my fair share of complaints about these. As everyone knows, I do prefer the happier ones. Give me a pool party skin any day of the week. But I feel like with Sion already being pretty scary, I mean, he's got the fucking Demon Forge right in his stomach, that we can move towards the scary ones just a little bit, and then we need to load up on the skins. And so, I mean, I know we've already got the skinned up Draven in the pool party. We're using the classic Fizz. I don't think any of our other champions even have skins, and so that leads us back here to the World Breaker Sion, and we are about to pay the price. Look at that. We'll click on the button, drop it right in there. We're paying to win so hard. Let me double check with all of our champions real quick. We might have to do 2. Let's check our loadouts here real quick. If we look at if we look at this, the Draven, he's pool partied in premium. Sion, World Breaker in premium. That looks pretty good. Let's get our loadout set up before I forget about this. Card styles, World Breaker done. And all right, I think we're fully premium on all the other ones though. Let's see. I know for a fact Misfortune is premium. Yeah, I didn't skin up the Misfortune. I don't know. Like maybe I should have gone for the arcade, but I'm just not a huge fan of the skin. I don't know why. Sue me. And so Twisted Fate premium. All right. We only got 2 left. I'm pretty sure the price has been paid on all of those as well. Let's take a look real quick. Lulu premium. Fizz premium. All right, the champions are ready to go. Everything is prepared. I paid the price. I mean, they say this is a pay-to-win game, and so I don't know how to do it any better than that, and we have paid. It's ready to go. Everything is good and done. Let's get ourselves into battle. Round 1, begin. Okay, the battles are about to begin. And so I will say the seasonals have been going on in the EU and in the APAC regions. They had some kind of problem, and they expect that the problem will also be affecting us here in A. And so I'm not entirely sure what it was. It sounds like some people would be like entering a game and the game would just freeze and then they couldn't do anything about it. I'm not entirely sure what that meant and why they couldn't just restart their computer or something, but nonetheless, we'll have to see if we are impacted by the bugs that are happening. It's I've asked around. I haven't heard from any of the other seasonals players that I talked to, having had it affect them. They're all in the EU, and so I'm not sure if Riot maybe pushed out a patch or if it's really limited in scope, but you know, it's there. We'll see. You know, maybe maybe we'll be able to deliver Riot a first-hand bug report and say, just go watch the video. And I know what it is. It's the intern. they let the intern's code finally make its way into the game, and he is out there messing up all of the expedition pools, and now he's out here messing up the tournament pools as well. Okay, anywho, on to the battles here. A lot of these matchups are fine. Like, I can pull up the matchups table. Yordles and Arms is going to be a mirror match. I'm more than okay to play it. I do think that that's probably a matchup to where he just kind of comes out and bans pirates. And so that should be okay. The other two aren't really like super pirate centric decks, but the most like control decky of the two is going to be this Aphelios Lux. I think that's a decent matchup. I don't remember if that even appears on our table. Let me see. Lux, where are you at? There's a Lux Jace. That's the only one where this appears. I think that's probably the most control decky of these, but we can handle it reasonably well. And then the Vigio Kindred deck is the one I'm going to just target and take out here. Oh shit, they just showed the whole lineup. I didn't realize the deck lists were open. Interesting. So he's playing the full 3 Vile Feasts. That's the card that always worries me the most. He has lots of good blockers against both Pirates and Yordles in Arms. And then the Aphelios Lux deck, much more reasonable, much more combat-oriented. The only removals being the Sunbursts. Okay, single combat as well. Yeah, let's take out. We'll take out the Kindred. What's this guy doing here? He's playing the Pokey Sticks and the Yordles in Arms. We don't do that. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. 3 copies of Fizz, 2 copies of Scrap Heap. Not playing. Oh, he's playing Vandal City Mayor. Here it is. So that one's fine. Only 2 Mystic Shots. No Yordle portals. And so that's okay. Aphelios Lux. Yeah, I think we should be able to deal with the Aphelios Lux. Like the thing that worries me out of Aphelios Lux is them just getting like a big Petricyte Broadwing draw to where they're able to boost it and get running with it. But yeah, this is fine. It's okay, I tell you. And then I always worry about it's just like if he keeps up, say, like Pirates, and then we have to deal with these stupid draws to where he has a Hapless Aristocrat into a Vile Feast, we just lose that every single time, and it's not that great. Okay, I'm on board. Some reasonable 1-drops. Guiding Touch is the heal. He is playing the full set of heal in the Guiding Touches and the Star Shapings. We'll have to remember that as we try to burn him out with our triple Decimate lineup. Wonder if we'll get to see Cithria today. I'd say it's more likely to see Cithria 6 than Cithria 10, but is what it is. Happy enough to not play against Scouts. I did get a little worried this morning. I was looking up through the Mastering Runeterra site, and they have the daily tournaments that they've been doing, and like the lineups that we're like really worried about are ones that would involve both Aphelios Fizz and Scouts. Like I really didn't expect to see like too much Scouts these days, but the dude that won the event yesterday was playing Aphelios Fizz. He is playing Tristana Timo, which is has the same fairy base in it, but it's playing to the attached theme because attached doesn't get hit by quicksands, and then they're playing Scouts. It was just like a complete and ultra nightmare matchup of cards, and so hopefully. Hopefully that technology is too new and people aren't just playing too much of that. I've seen a little bit of the Timo Tristana deck on the ladder, but not enough to where like I've probably played against it like 2 or 3 times. And so that Fey base though, man, I'm telling you, the Gleaming Lantern is going to be on the ropes for a potential nerf. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Gleaming Lantern either just reduce mana by 1 or see it say like count itself as the first Fey, and so it has to be like the actual physical first Fey you've played in the turn, and not the first physical Fey that it sees. So you can't do the thing to where you play the Lantern on turn 3 and then you play a 2-cost Fey. Because that one's now free, and then you move into the next turn and get to like open with Papercraft Dragon for 3 mana or something. I wouldn't be surprised to see it where it cuts out that bit of the chain, or the stuff to where it's like turn 4 and you play a Lantern, and then you get to play a second Lantern for 1, and then you get to play another cheap Fey after the fact. Cuts those kind of chains out without getting into the reduction too much. But anyways, I back to this, we can talk about the matchup we're in. I think this is fine. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see him just come in and ban Pirates. This is what I think we're going to see happen the majority of the day, although the Yordles in Arms matchup into Pirates is reasonably favorable for them. And so maybe this is a place where they ban out a Draven Sion, but this one's going to get the ban. Get out of here, Vigio. Draven Sion, cool. Okay, the strategy I've been kind of taking with these is if we have to play a deck twice, I want to do whatever our worst deck is twice, and I feel like the Pirates is going to be the kind of limiting factor here. It doesn't play super well against Yordles and Arms, and so we'll try to play it twice and see how this plays out. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I don't remember if I put that on my list. Where are we at? The Yordles and Arms columns here in the middle. We should have at least played against it. Yeah, it's a favorable matchup for the. Oh, is it favorable for the Pirates? I gotta learn to read my own chart. Yeah, it's favorable for Pirates. Okay. Anywho, on to the battles. Got to keep our one drop. I'm not the hugest fan of starting with these Imperial Demolitionists. I'd rather pick these up a little bit later. And so we'll just cycle and look for some additional one drops. It's like we'll hard mulligan and probably find another two. Of course, we don't here, but we'll hard mulligan and probably find another two, and really just give us the chance to search for more ones. Can be a little frightening here. He was playing the 2/1 one drop, and so if we run the Crackshot Corsair into the 2/1, that's going to be a fairly painful turn for us. But abysmal start. This is just disastrous. Picking up the 3 and the 2/4s and then Decimate as our first draw. Legion Grenadier here to save the day a little bit, but damn. That is not ideal. Okay, nothing we can do about that. Open them with that juicy 2-for-1. Ah, Decimate, that's so brutal. I'm gonna might through this if we get the opportunity. We have to spend our mana here. This is just an absolute disaster of a draw. See if this gets hushed. Yeah, it's so brutal if this play gets hushed. Like, getting in for 5 damage is still pretty decent. But if he gets, like, the complete shutdown on this turn through hush, it sucks so much. Single combat, not great. At least we still get to do 1 point of damage, I guess. So brutal. I would have felt kind of okay-ish if we'd gotten in that extra bit of damage there, but whew. All right. Make a sad noise for me. What you got? The old Vanguard Sergeant. Sure thing, my dude. Just gonna no-block this here. Ideally, on the next turn, we'll be able to open with both of our units and then red card through the Vanguard Sergeant. If not, if it's one of these situations to where... Oh, you pick up a Misfortune, you say? That is kind of tempting. It's like, even if he has a... like Sunburst for Misfortune, that's still pretty decent for us. His only removal is a Sunburst in single combat, right? Okay. Bringing out the old Moon Boy. Interesting. Thinking real hard on which one he wants to take. I was kind of considering where we would go with this. My expected kind of like line from him here is that he wants to, say, play a Lux next turn and then give her a +2, 1/2 and lifesteal, so he gets to chunk in and heal a bunch of damage. But I mean, I would definitely understand it if they went and picked up a 3 damage to a unit or something as well. Okay. Goes for the summons. Now, the question we have here is, do we actually attack with Misfortune? We can send Misfortune into the Aphelios. You know, I'm kind of okay with it. It's probably not ideal when we have the scout units on the board. If we get the actual flip with Misfortune next turn, that's pretty huge. if he, the downside to this is if he picked up the +3, the 3 damage thing, then he could shoot down the Island Navigator with it. But I think that's reasonable. That feels like a really slow game plan if that's what he's trying to do.
Only a fool would enter battle unprepared.
Got the lifesteal one. Okay. We can respond to that accordingly. This mana is just not working out this game, though. This has been fucking disaster.
With the knight's embrace.
I mean, I guess we could realistically, like, play Twisted Fate and then Twisted Fate to cycle away one of these Decimates, but, like, the Decimate's just so close to being good. But, like, we really need to be playing 2 cards this turn, and we just absolutely can't. I mean, I guess we could look to play Zap and then use Zap to get a play going, but yeah, it doesn't seem good. Alright, his turn should be done. And we get to really push hard into flipping this Misfortune. The only way that this is kind of unfortunate is if he has the Sunburst in his hand, right? We get to open with the Island Navigator, and then Misfortune will be ready on the next attack. But it can definitely go wrong. But that's like a gigantic mana investment if he really wants to throw a 6 mana spell onto Misfortune to keep her from flipping. I mean, I get it. I'd understand wanting to do that, but... Okay. Does give him the double spells, though, right? He gets the Moonbeam, and then he gets... or he would get the Sunburst onto Misfortune, and then get the Lux Final Spark. Star Shaping. Okay. We did pick up a very timely Stun Spider, though. And so if his idea for the turn is to protect something with the Severum and get in a block that way, like he can put Severum onto Aphelios and try to stop Misfortune from flipping, then we can just stun whatever he puts the lifesteal on. I think we might have turned the corner into actual okay land here. And so I have to see. Yeah, you just get the Misfortune or the Lux flip. Okay, it's not a complete disaster, but it's a little unfortunate. And then I'm really leaning towards just trying to Nox and Fervor the Lux away. Right, it's a little dangerous in terms of, like we're running out of ways to stop the Severum, but we have to get like something going this turn. I guess we could realistically just attack with Zap and Decimate. That hits for 6. It's just like a really slow game plan to have to do it this way. Old Steve out here is not ready to deal any damage. There is a world like on this board where we can like play Steve and then follow up with the other Steve to red card away some of these units, but it's awful dangerous. So how much burn are we at? We've got 8, 11 in hand. We're getting pretty close to the lethal. Again, we can shut down the Severum. What are you gonna bring at us, Moon Boy? The Destroyer. Interesting. It's so fucking expensive. That's where his moon weapon's gonna go, right? So we're just gonna have to go ahead and hit it with the Noxus Blast so that we can stun it with the Stun Spider. Oh, that sucks so much. Okay. We can wait until he puts that thing on the stack. Once the Severum goes on the stack, we can play the Nox and Fervor. This gets us a little light on the damages. Got 8 in hand, 2 from the zap. We need to pick up another 2 somewhere.
It's our time.
Okay. I guess we definitely got that 1 damage from Twisted Fate. Should that be the angle one needs to take? Picked up double stun off of his moon weapon. So that's fairly risky. I don't think that we get to make it back to our next turn is the unfortunate thing here. And so I'm going to just play it out like we get to do the Crackshot Corsair. He's going to play the Gravitum now. But I think this at least gives us a bit of an option to get in the same amount of damage. Okay, so that happens. Hit the stun spider so we get the attack in. We'll play the decimates after the fact, and then we'll see what we can do with Twisted Fate. We can potentially gold card the destroyer if that's what this turn's going to come down to. Don't think we're going to have too much left in the way of units, though. He's most certainly going to get a final spark this turn. Okay.
And here's where I'd paint my constellation.
Here they come. What did he discard there? For Demacia. Alright, burn spell number 1. Coming at you. He's just gonna open. Is he just gonna open next turn? I think we're probably just dead next turn. We'll give it a shot though. We still got these 2 Nox and Fervors in our deck. Okay, you got a dude. It's our boy Stony Suppressor. Man. He's out here just fucking up all this dude's mana. I wonder if it's technically considered a combo at this point since the Lux gets the bonus mana for the final sparks. Could be considered a combo. 4, 11, 12, 13. He's just gonna open and we're gonna be dead. Gotta hit a Nox and Fervor. Okay. I can't imagine he just sits around long enough for that. But man, what an actual disaster of a game. I'm glad that we were still in it so far. That feels like that should be a much more decent matchup than I was giving it credit for. But man, to come out and just have the 1-drop and then no play on turn 3, having to play the Might on turn 3, like I guess we could have just not playing the Might, but like man, that was a brutal start to the event. All right, let's see if we can beat up on Yordles in Arms twice. All right, I'm willing to keep a Misfortune here. She's extremely good in these matchups. It just makes all of their blocks abysmally bad. And they don't have a ton of ways to actually answer her. It's just a get excited or it's a flame chompered Lulu. And so she should be pretty safe. Man, imagine that previous game with a hand like this. This isn't even like a particularly strong one. It's just you're not having to go into like turn 4 with nothing on the board. Insane. All right, opponent keeps 1. Says, I'm ready for it, Bust. Bring it. Bring that thunder upon me. Sure. Just got the natural flame chompers. Gotta worry about that Lulu a little bit. We would get in one misfortune attack this way, but he can definitely open on turn 4 with a collection of dudes. I'll take the 3 out of this one. I have the misfortune ready for battle, and at worst I want to get this point of damage in. Don't really want to have to attack with misfortune either, so we'll see. She's our play. Man, we have drawn the top end of the curve real hard today. Not even just little hard, we've done it big hard. We need to get those premiums. I know what the deal is. I know this opponent knew that we turned the Sion premium, and he said, I'm not paying against that. He said, this fucker paid to win. No thank you. No thank you. Not playing against that. And a scrap heap, sure. So no Lulu just yet. If we go into next turn and he wants to make a Lulu style play, then we will get to Gold Carter. Alright, well here comes some of the dudes. Some of the squads making an appearance out here.
Never lost a fair game. Never played one.
Say, I got your back, Bust. I'm ready for the battles. We'll take it if he comes in with the Boom Baboon. Ooh, nice. So let's see. Ideally, we would get additional units that we can play. Mirai Warden is a beautiful addition to the team. Didn't really want to have this to be like a Zap plus a Corsair turn. Now that we get this completely full board, it's fantastic. Gonna be bringing all the thunder. So we'll lose Misfortune with this attack, right? He can put the Bomber Twins in front of Misfortune. I guess we have to stop and think, like, is she worth keeping back? Like, Lulu can block this turn, but it's not a very good one. I think we're, like, to the point to where we don't worry about her as much, but if he wants to make a Flame Chompered Lulu next turn, he can't block with these this turn, so he's going to take an ass load of damage. And then on B, it's like, do we even really care that much? It does suck for him to kind of get that trade on us, but we're getting like beyond the point of this this attack being super relevant. I think we're going to leave her back because he doesn't really want to block with these two.
Lady Luck is smiling.
I'm usually a little bit more aggressive with her, but it's like they have so many 1 health units in this deck as well. It gives us just so many favorable attacks. These Flame Chompers can't just like value, or I guess like bounce off of our Crackshot Corsairs. This is good. And then at the end of the day, if he has to be like, here's a get excited for Misfortune, that's pretty decent. It's very odd that they didn't add anything else to the board here, unless they just have a handful of like Yordles and Arms and Yordle Captains. Sure. Okay. Pretty positive turn. So I would assume that there's going to be an incoming Yordles in arms, right? If he's like willing to keep this much stuff back, he has to be anticipating getting a couple of good attacks here. They're not like ultra worried about it. Like if he takes down Misfortune and Steve with his 2 Flame Chompers, leaves his 2 units on the board, and then we just kind of switch to the Zap plan. That feels realistically good. He can still drop a he can still drop the Yordles in arms here. He has exactly 5 mana. It's just like, how bad is this if he just like passes? He never passes here, right? You don't win this game if you pass. And he has Fizz. Must be nice. Must be nice. All right, we'll go ahead and zap. We're pretty likely to hit a to hit a Nox and Might. We did not, but it's okay.
All the colors.
Let's use all the colors. My favorite color's purple. This is why I didn't want to play the Zap, is he can now hook it and take it down, and we can't get this damage in combat next turn. Oh, interesting. There you go. So we're gonna have to block 2, right? We can't just fall to 1. That's just way too easy to die to a Pokey Stick or to a Mystic Shot. So we're gonna have to put in a Steve and put in a Crackshot Corsair. Then hopefully we can get in with these zaps plus the Might. It's a lot of surprise damage coming out. Right. This would take us to 1. This takes us to 7. All right. And not playing Might. We're going to use that offensively. I'm curious now if I'm like wondering not attacking with the Misfortune. If we're just going to end up being a couple of points too short now. Like, I guess the question is, like, would we have ever realistically got to attack with her again? And maybe not. I'd like to have one more unit on the board. Like, if we just make an attack here with the Zap, and then he gets to, like, Mystic Shot down the Zap after we played Might on it, that's, like, so brutally bad. The other, like, upside to this turn is if we can't play a Decimate if we go for a Demolitionist. But I think we have to get a second unit on the board so that we could potentially Might. Well, you're so dead as soon as we target you with the spell. Well, this does take him. Comes in with Fizz. Oh, if Fizz is the angle, we might have a chance here. Okay. That got us into the Decimate range. Fuck, he's got 5. He doesn't have lethal on board, but... Right, if we have to block a Flame Chomper and... No, we are... This is going to be a 3, 6, 7, 8. We have to spend a Nox and Fervor to get out of the combat, so we're maybe not dead. He only has 1 card in hand. Double Nox and Fervor. Which is the safer way to go about it. Like, we're just not going to have a choice here, right? That's too much damage coming to face. Alright, I'm not feeling ultra confident in this. It's just so easy to have a Pokey Stick or a Mystic Shot here, but we got a lethal. That's bad. Oh, snap. That's better than being dead. Even better than being... Just getting them lethals in. Snap. Good job, deck. Way to carry us. Dodge those pokey sticks. Nice. Alright, coming down to the mirror match. This would be, as they call it, a coin flip. Our lists are a little bit different, though, right? He was playing the Pokey Sticks. We're playing the Yordle Portals. We're playing the Pharaoh's Fanciers, which he's not playing as well. So we have a bit more of a value package as to where he has that burn style suite. Happy with the 2 and the 3 here. I don't like holding on to Flame Chompers if we don't have a way to discard them from the start. And then we have some value generation in the Bomber Twins as it is. All right.
Some rock got me good.
He's got all the hooks ready to go. What up, Fizz? So I want to drop the Baboon. It does die to a Pokey Stick, but it's our, like, the unit we're happiest to just come in here and trade away. And since we don't play the Pokey Sticks, we got to kind of offer up the trade on the Zonite Urchin. Okay. We should be, like, much more value-oriented than this guy. I think we just need to kind of focus on not dying, and that'll be the kind of safer route here. If he has a Lulu, this is a fucking disaster. But if we're able to get a Bandle City Mayor into a free Fizz into, you know, cheaper stuff next turn, that is quite powerful. Interesting. Okay. Interesting, I tell you.
Hello, anyone want to join my party?
Everybody's got the captains. Sure. No attacks. Let's see who can take advantage of it the fastest. We have the Bandle City Mayor into the Fizz. Don't have any discard. Like, if we had a discard, I'd feel a little bit better about this. Man, we got to get excited, but now if he plays a Lulu, she's going to be a 4/4. I wonder, that's such a weird world where he just, like, passes on that previous turn. Interesting. I'm leaning towards the Tenor of Terror here. We haven't played any generated cards yet. We'll get one down quickly, though, with this Flame Chompers. And I really want to get this mountain of stats. I love a good mountain of stats. I don't know about you all, but man, I do love me a good mountain of stats. In the Yordle in arms. We have to get excited now to A, get the units off the board, and to B, so we don't just get boomed by this thing. So let's get excited. We discard Flame Chompers. Who is, like, the juiciest target here? The most damage we can stop is going to be this 4/3. He's going to get 2 good hooks, like, regardless, and so we can't really play around that too much. And I don't think we have to worry about the Fizz at this moment.
Welcome to the team.
Okay.
Are you ready? Let's take it for
Oh, it'd be so sick if we could have gotten the minefield down. Okay. So not awesome. We lost quite a bit there. We'll have to see if we can recover with our additional stats. We pick up a Yordles in arms, but ours is just too slow at this point. I think we're realistically stuck just like opening on Fizz and seeing if we can't build up into the next turn. Like he can't add too much to the board here, and we can kind of counterspell his Yordles and Arms without Yordles and Arms next turn. Like I think we're kind of okay in those terms. We just needed to cycle back around. But he does still get to fill his board with the Yordle captained units. Kind of sucks.
Nothing a great giggle can't fix.
Okay, and if he doesn't open, we can minefield the Lulu, which would be kind of nice. I feel like he's probably just going to open on us, but we'll see. Ancient Prep, interesting. That's not a unit. I did the mathematics on that one. Ancient Prep is definitely not a unit. Okay, let's drop the Baboon. Again, if like we draw a discard, like if we pick up a Yordle Portal, or if we pick up a way to get this on board, it might get us a surprise block that we need. I would assume that this turn's like probably an open, with Lulu coming in and the Flame Chompers hitting something, but we'll see. Trumpet Tecker. Like, do we just have to preemptively Yordle in Arms now? Makes like the Chomper's a 4/4. He still gets a decent hook onto like a Passive Burden. Oh, this is pretty bad. Like we would be so okay if we just had like one discard card at any point this game, but we haven't had any of them. Ah, fuck me. Okay. The only like perk to this, I guess, is we do have a ton of cards in hand, and so if we can grind this out a little bit, we might be able to make a recovery here. It's just been pretty brutal with his Yordle Captain getting to hang out on the board and his Trumpet Tecker boosting everything down here. Oh my god, this is going to be a double removal. Yep. Alright, we're dead. Brutal, brutal, brutal.
They won't like this.
Yep, nothing to do. GG's, my dude. So I mean that was tough. Like, this match, sure. Like I feel like that was like really the kind of like defining factor in what happened with us that game. Is that as you're kind of like looking at the cards still left in the deck, there's all three Poro Cannons, both Scrap Heaps, both of the Yordle Portals. We just didn't draw any of the discard stuff, and so when they're getting to kind of like cheat out with their mana and get ahead of you, it's a little bit unfortunate. That game's kind of whatever, but man, that first match with the Pirates was pretty brutal. I don't think that there's any denying that. Seeing a match with Pirates and just like having actual no play on the third turn is a complete disaster. Just taking the mulligan and mulliganing into whatever it was, like Zap, Twisted Fate, Decimate, or and then immediately drawing Decimate or something. It was just too much to handle. I feel like that would have been just like, even with one card, if we just had like one dude we could have put on the board on turn 3, it would have represented quite a bit more damage, but is what it is. Well played. GG's, my dude, and we'll jump into the next one. Okay, round 2. Jump on in. It's Caitlin. And all right, pretty easy ban for us. We're going to come in and ban the Aphelios Fizz. This is what we'll be banning essentially any time that it shows up. Again, if you want to take a little peek at our little matchup chart, this is the one that I really worry about here. Down if you're looking at the bottom of the chart. It's one I was kind of hoping didn't pick up enough in popularity to really come and give us problems all day. It's like we can beat it, right? But if it gets stuck to where we have to like play Pirates and Draven Sion or Pirates and Yordles in Arms, it doesn't feel that good. And so happy enough to get rid of the Fizz of Aphelios. That's going to leave us with Action Sivir and Talia Ziggs. And so these should be like okay-ish. The Action Sivir can cause us some problems. This is what we would kind of call like a worse version of Scouts, right? It doesn't have the misfortune in it to really like punish all of our small units across all of our decks. And so reasonably enough deck to go against. He's playing the 3 Vicaran Bruisers, 2 Concerted Strikes, 1 Rite of Negation in here, only 2 Golden Aegis, and then the Shield of Durandis. I have to remember that. Singular Quicksand. So that's something that like feels like it should probably line up reasonably well for us, right? If we're playing with a lot of the overwhelms coming out of Draven Sion, we have the elusive package coming out of Yordles in Arms. Seeing the dude only play 1 Quicksand to stop our overwhelms and our elusives is pretty good, and then the Rite of Negation to stop Yordles in Arms or to stop Decimates. Only the singular copy feels pretty nice. Otherwise, fairly straightforward. He's not playing any Challenger birds, and so our early game should line up against this reasonably well. What's happening with Talia Malphite? What you got here? 1 Ancient Hourglass, 1 Guiding Touch, 1 Absolver, some Desert Duels. Okay. I don't feel like this is the scariest list in the world. Looks like a style of deck looking to pull off the Overwhelm combo, whether or not with Talia or with Malphite. And we do have the stuns against these as well. So I think this one should be okay. I'm not entirely sure what our opponent would ban out here. I assume they're probably just going to ban Pirates. Pirates seems like it's probably pretty strong against Talia Malphite. It just doesn't have the tools to interact with it. But when it really comes down to it at the end of the day, I feel like the Draven Sion's our best deck. And so I'm curious to see if this will be like what we saw in the Gauntlets, as to where Pirates just gets banned every time, or if people have kind of gotten wise to how good Draven Sion is. I feel like we'll probably play Yordles in Arms in literally every single match today, and so I expect that one's going to be the one coming through. But don't take my word for it. Let's see. Let me jump back in here real quick. Single Guiding Touch, single Absolver, 2 Desert Duels. It's kind of weird, but sure. 2 Quicksands. So it'll be Quicksands coming out of both decks. A single Rite of Negation coming out of both decks. There's a Celestial Wonder out of this. Not so worried about the Celestial Wonder. It's a little bit slower than what we're typically putting forth. Okay. And the Action Sivir. Again, this is a very like mid-rangey style of Action Sivir. There's no Challenger birds. There's only 2 Merciless Hunters. The full 3 Broadwings, of course. Only 2 Brightsteel Protectors. It's so strange. Like, I don't see where the mid-range package in this even lives. Has like one of every card. It's got the one of everything package in here. All right. 45 seconds to go. Feeling pretty good. Feeling good. I was trying to find the rewards for this thing. I don't know what it comes to. Like, I thought that there was some kind of like participation thing that you got. You got some kind of rewards for the number of wins in terms of getting like essence pouches or something like that. I don't remember. We're just here for the win anyways, but curious what the rest of that amounts to. All right, my 5 minutes of preparation are up. I should probably screenshot those decks, but I have perfect memory. I don't need something like that. Are we still preparing? What's going on here? Oh, our opponent forfeited the match. Well, that was fun. I guess we win that one. Easy. Why does it just say pending now? Huh. Oh, just because the round's in progress? That's weird. All right. Well, I guess we'll mark it a 1-1. Move on to the next one. All right, next match starting soon. So, good stuff. We'll see if we have an opponent this time. I've got to make a whole hour with nothing to do. It's tough. Don't worry, I got stuff done. It's tough. I really struggled today. I woke up early to get my adulting done for the day. Made 2 trips to Home Depot, bought the wrong thing both times, and so pretty spectacular day, if you will. But okay, into the action here. So the guy has the Talia Ziggs. We're never banning this, right? The idea with our lineup is we want to play against Pantheon. We want to play against Talia Ziggs. We're just going to go ahead and leave this one in here. Now, with these remaining 2, I'm not like completely opposed to leaving in this kind of mirror match style deck with Rumble Draven. I assume at his top end is, I was going to say I'm expecting like a Captain Farron at the top end, but this is pretty similar to our Draven Sion, except it's just much more aggressive. I think we can handle this reasonably. We do have to kind of like control deck this stuff a little bit, and we can play like the control deck piece of this fine. I think we'll be okay with any of our matchups against this. This is just kind of like the pure aggression version of what we're doing with the mites and the whirling deaths and stuff in it. So might is because of Rumble, but I think we can handle that okay. And then the Sejuani Gangplank is always like kind of an odd matchup. I think like a lot of these cards suck if we're gonna be real about it, but we can struggle a little bit against this if they're able to get their Sejuani going, right? I don't so much care about the Gangplank. I think we're actually like reasonably lined up against the Gangplank, since in so many of our decks we're playing both the stun spiders, and then we have access to other stuns with like Twisted Fate and stuff. And so I think we could technically deal with this one okay. But I think this is the one that would give us more problems as opposed to the Rumble thing. You are seeing cards in here like Make It Rain and the Mirai Wardens. Those are all kind of problematic for us. I think this is just a deck that should be going. There's not too much interactivity in the Draven Rumble, I don't think. I think we should be able to just come down and get blocks in against this and be okay. Now, the downside is with like the Rumble, if he does get to pick up Spell Shield, we can't bring stuns onto him, but I think it's okay. And then what's this guy actually going to ban? I think that's a bit of a curiosity. I would think that he actually wants to ban our Draven Sion. I think both Pirates and Yordles in Arms have kind of a similar game plan of flood the board, as to where it's just slightly different against the Rumble Sion. You're playing kind of a more mid-rangey game where you have some kind of go tall strategies, but I think that'll be fine. I don't think I'm curious if like how these matchups even look. Like we got some time. We can pull up old Balco's site and see what this stuff looks like. I haven't seen the Sejuani Gangplank in ages. Literal ages. So let's see what the old meta report says. Sedge. Is she even on here? Gangplank Sejuani. Sure. What do you think? It's a negative matchup against Pirates. Or is it? Are any of our other decks even going to show up on here? Probably not. Where's the old Draven Sion? Did we already pass it? Draven Rumble Sion's close enough. Slight favorite. Nah. I don't think this is really going to change anything. I'm still pretty good with our ideas here with just banning out the Gangplank. So at least over in the Talia Ziggs deck, we have to look at it real quick. They're playing Pokestick. We typically cut that out. They're bringing it in here. The full 3 copies of Quicksand. Have to take note of that, and the full 3 copies of Rite of Negation. Wow, I'm glad we took a moment to come in and pull up the list. They have all of the defensive elements in here, but at the cost of the early game, they aren't playing the 1-drop. Oh, here's the Inventive Chemist. What do they cut for this stuff? The Chemist, the Rockhopper, the Devout, 2 Absolvers. Okay, there's only 1 copy of Desert Naturalist. That's somewhat normal these days. Only 1 of each of the 1-cost plays, and then 3 Preservarians. It's a very control decky iteration or mid-rangey iteration of this deck. He's not playing the combat trick, the sacrifice a landmark to give something 4/2. Only 2 Unraveled Earths. Okay, I still feel pretty good about the Talia Ziggs. Then the Drumble Raven Rumble Draven, 3 Might Swirling Death. Okay. Ban it. I push the button, ban it. Our preparation is not done. I'm so worried now that something's just going to get messed up with the reports of those problems. Oh, cool. So we do get to play the pirates. I'm just going to go ahead and lead out with the pirates. I'm curious what this gets to run up against. I think the matchups here are okay across the board, but well, I think I still feel like safer with having the Draven Sion be our kind of safety valve, if you will, since the matchups there just aren't terrible across the board. All right, there's a start. Could have used some of this a little bit ago. Okay. We'll start with the rear guard. This is our opportunity for the most damage. Guess you technically can get the most damage with the saboteurs as well, but I usually feel a little safer leading with the rear guard. He can't block if you come down and trade, and so can be sad times for him. Our boy coming right back. Ballistic bot, you just don't feel as powerful as you used to be. I guess only having 0 power will do that. But on this turn, I'm going to drop. We're going to drop 3 1-drops here. Ideally, I'm just going to play the rear guard, and then we can stop and see. Like if he invests in a big unit, then we'll go to the Saboteur plan. But I think what's going to happen here is he's going to play like a 2-drop, and he's going to play an Ignition, or he's going to play an Ignition and a Mystic Shot, and we're going to be able to like safely attack with these Crackshot Corsairs. I mean, they are less damage than the Saboteurs. We'll just have to see what he does. I like, it's kind of like on the one side of the coin, I like the idea of just dealing the most damage that we can. On the other side of the coin, the Ballistic Bot can't kill any of our Crackshot Corsairs. They still have a good block on board in the Mirai Warden, but let's just go for the most damage.
Explosives primed.
This could potentially get us in a space to where, if, say, we pick up a scout unit on our next turn, we can still get scout attacks in with the Crackshot Corsairs. Maybe. There's some options there, but the thing that we always preached in our kind of review videos and gameplay videos on pirates is, if you're not sure to what to do, if you don't know what unit to actually put on the board, then just pick the ones that deal the most damage, right? When we're looking at our first turn, the rear guard does 3. When we're looking at our second turn, you're rolling the dice with the Mirai Warden, but you can potentially hit a 2-attack unit or even a 3-attack unit, and so it's kind of like getting 4 damage for 2. And then now we're able to we'll just play the 3 damage 1-drops here. He's going to get to trade into the Legion Saboteur. Completely fine. Oh, surprise bro coming at us. Sure. Feels like we should have dealt more damage at this point. That's okay. We're looking fine. Ooh, that's a rumble. He discards a Fallen Rider and a Daring Poro to get him down. All right, we're gonna have to block him with the Flower Child. Well, we could let 1 go. My concern here is he does play like all of the mites and everything. And so I'm trying to like envision what happens. You're looking to ideally say like block and then just Nox and Fervor the unit away. But if he's going to make a might play, then that doesn't work, because then we still just take an ass load of damage. And so it leaves me a little scared. But like given his hand of just a couple of dudes and 1 card, I think we can just save the point of damage with the Flower Child and work on this Nox and Fervor a little bit later. Very realistic chance we just end up opening here. Zap is what makes that different. Okay, if we pick up a might, this is such a huge deal. So it's like we're to the point to where we may not even realistically attack with our ground-based units. He's going to drop a big boy. So we hit with everything. He loses his bot. I think this attack is still okay.
Captain's orders. Bullet to the face.
Bullet to the face.
We can take it. Maybe.
Looking to drop him to 12. Gonna Nox and Fervor away the Crackshot Corsair. Ooh. Ooh, that's pretty choice if he doesn't block with the Rumble. I don't know why he would pull him back. Wow, wow, we get tons of extra damage in this way now. Still a little worried about like the might-based play coming out of Rumble, especially as he has this extra power coming on board. But I think if we survive this attack, we should win the game. It's going to be close. I think our saving grace might be the ability to throw a Nox and Fervor at the Risen Rider.
Oh, he likes you.
Okay, we'll see if he's got the might. If he plays might, we can just throw at Risen Rider, and that'll prevent a bunch of damage. He's coming at us for 9 with Rumble. So we'll die to like a Decimate or another combat trick. But that's the danger of this world, am I right? Down to 2.
Like a fish in water.
Let's see if he's got 3 cards in hand, so it's a little bit scarier now, but we'll see. Well, going into our turn feels pretty decent. Not playing Twisted Fate. Alright, well, game says it's 12. This should be pretty good. He can Whirling Death out of this, but everything else should be okay, right? If he had any of the burn spells, he would have just killed us. Alright. Mark with a W for the Pirates. Now we get to bring in the fully premium Draven Sion. God, it feels so good. It's such premium coming out of this guy. Did you all see this? Oh, you can't even see it here? Oh, look at this. Why are you the way that you are, game? Look at this. You look at the Sion and the Draven, it should be Pool Party, and it should be World Breaker or Returned, whatever that thing's called. Just, I paid the price. We paid to win, and then we don't even get to use it. Come on, Riot. Come on. Okay, back against the Rumble Draven again. I'm happy enough to hang on to both the Reborn Grenadier and the Get Excited. Just a nice burst blocker coming out of the Grenadier, and then we also get the 1/1 Poros are surprisingly relevant in this match, and so I think we're okay to just pass here. Again, we're just trying to like control deck this guy. I don't want to take it super slow. Like I don't want to be like too big into this idea that we're going to control deck him, but I don't think we need to go out of our way to just chunk in this Poro Cannon based damage. Like I'm completely content if he drops a unit here to just Mystic Shot about anything. Got a Fallen Rider. Okay. We're just going to try and prevent as much damage as we can.
Anything else?
Within reason. I'll take this too, but I'm not quite going to give up the Mystic Shot while he's still got this Risen Rider ready to come down. Okay. Ballistic Bots on the board. So how does this turn play out? I think this is pretty okay if we want to drop the Fancier and like the Poro Cannon and the double unit. Like I think this is the place where we get to come out here and just start chunking in. Let's start with the Fancier and see what turns up. I kind of don't want For Glory. because it should be like pretty easy for him to just have good blockers for it. But the positive thing with For Glory is it gives us a way to answer Rumble. Now, answering Rumble's kind of a stretch, right? Since they're going to have the Whirling Deaths to protect him with, or any burn spell protects him from it. But it is a nice option to be able to take him down. I'm going to go with the assembly line still. I think it's just a little bit safer. It blocks most of his deck well. It gives us a blocker for Fearsomes, but I think those ideas still stand. We'll wait just a hot minute before we Mystic Shot this Risen Rider. See if he plays anything better. Should be tough for him to play something better, but I want to give him the option. Do you have to discard a real card? Oh, an Ignition. Okay. Do we even care about a Mystic Shot onto this? I think we do. It's just like so tough for us to get a better unit than this, but it does give him a good block with the Ballistic Bot onto the Fancier. Oh, it's unfortunate that we just kind of like said, "LOL, check it out, we got a burn spell here." But I think like there's also this this thought that, you know, if you see yourself like making a misplay, don't like warp your strategy just to make it look like you did that intentionally. And so I think this is fine. This still works out. We get to chunk in all of this overwhelm damage now, but. Like that I had to stop and take some pause with that, where he could have blocked the Fancier with the Mystic Shot, and then or blocked the Fancier with the Ballistic Bot, and then we're gonna want to just Mystic Shot back here. All right, good looking board. The assembly line fits in here quite nicely now. Turns out it can block. that other dum can't block the 5/1s. It's still a great card to be able to get access to. I love a lot of the options that come from the Fancier here, but I can't wait to see if we get a couple of the new viewers in the thing, and they say this fuck can't say any of the card names right. The hell's a Vigio and a Fancier? This guy's a dumbass. All right. So this looks good. We're going to get like a big attack in here. And then if he tries to get overly clever next turn, we still have access to Sion. So we just picked up like a real decision, right? Do we want to hook something out with the... if we play the Sump Dredger, then we get to discard and pick up another unit. Like we can pull Rumble off to the side. I'm kind of interested in it, but I think this is probably the space to where we should just go for pure damage. Like, what are we going to have next turn to where we actually get to, like, try and stun Rumble or stop him? It's going to be pretty tough to do. So I'm leaning towards, like, we drop the Sump Dredger, discard this guy, didn't pick up anything interesting. Now we have a stun onto the Ballistic Bot, and we get to chunk in a ton of damage. Now, we're, like, hopefully out of range of dying to a Rumble. You just cast that? Interesting. This is not going to be not going to be the card he wants to see. But I think we should be able to get this Sion down next turn, and he's more than ready to get in front of Rumble. Okay, so he'll prevent the 4. Takes 12. And we're like. An 8 hit from Rumble shouldn't kill us. We got 2 cards left, so hopefully tough to get a kill. I feel like we've been getting a little lucky with these Noxus blasts surviving and going to face, and so I feel like we're due to just get slammed on one of these turns. All right, so do we change who we play here now that we just get? We can't. You didn't get a new animation. You just got a new JPEG. Poor Sion. Okay. Drop us a bit, sure thing. There's unfortunately not a ton we can do next turn. If we pick up a discard card, that would be pretty nice, or a burn spell would always be good. But I'm like little worried about this. At least the good thing with this turn is like Sion represents so much overwhelm damage that like if he wants to block with one of his big boys, we should get the second attack in. And then he didn't have any cards to really threaten our Sion. The only thing that would be like worrisome to me here would be a like a double decimate. Okay, so I'm going to drop the Flame Chompers. I'm going to pull... we should probably pull the Dune Hopper mech out. Then his units are going to die in the blocks. So ideally, he'll like block with Rumble and it will die. He'll block with Bouncer and Bolt, it will die. But he doesn't have great answers to Sion here. Even if he Whirling Deaths, he's going to need a second Whirling Death for the next attack. I think we're pretty good and safe. Did we do it, fam? He's piecing it together, doing them finger mathematics, trying to figure it all out. I think we might have done it. GG. Mark it a W for bust. It's interesting. That turned out nicely. Those games were kind of butt clinchers, right? We were definitely falling low in some of those, but I feel like again, that Gangplank Sejuani deck would have been a little bit more problematic. So cool. Get a W, mark it a 2-1. Did I do it? Excellent. We'll see you at 15-10. GG's. Okay. Hope everything's working. Starting up round 4 here. The servers went down, and so we had a pretty lucky round there, finishing up our match early, as it seemed like it was at least Riot wide and not limited to Runeterra, but there were definitely people that just got booted out of their games and couldn't log back in, and so we dodged that. I restarted my computer while I was at it, and it looks like the sounds are working, and so let's do it. Let's see what happens. Goodness. Okay. So this style of matchup is not great for us, right? This is just the kind of like pure control deck lineup, and I think that what's going to end up happening here is they'll likely just ban Draven Sion and then plan to pick on the pirates. None of our decks are like particularly strong against this. Like we can pull it up if we're down here in like the bottom section, right? Here's the Trundlemere and our ban it if we can, Ezreal Caitlyn and our ban it if we can, and then Jace Sentinels is the one that's down here in the kind of must ban area because the pirates matchup is so bad. And see, that's like if you kind of take a look at our Draven Sion, that's kind of where the somewhat positive matchups are, and then the Ezreal Caitlyn matchup pretty bad, the Trundlemere matchup pretty bad, and so this is one of the things I was like worried that may happen, but I was hoping it would only happen maybe like once or something. So I do want to come in through here and see what the removal packages look like. The Trundlemere is playing the full set of Vile Feast, 3 Ravines, and an Avalanche, so he's got one extra one. He's got the Withering Whales in here as well. Pretty miserable for us to deal with. I assume much of the same is going to happen with the Jace deck. Right, he's got 1 Beam, 3 Mystic Shots, 3 Vile Feasts. This is all pretty bad for us. 2 Piercing Darknesses, and then the double Shock Blast, double Vengeance, and then last but not least, the Ezreal Caitlyn. Doesn't look overly tuned for the matchup, but this is certainly not going to be a good matchup, right? As we see, he's only got the 2 House Spiders, which is a positive for us, but Otherwise, it is still just a giant mountain of removal. Only one copy of Aloof Travelers, not really geared to deal with the mid range or the. This is just what you would call like an anti-pirates matchup, and so it's going to be brutal. And so again, like I feel like they'll probably come in and just ban out Draven Sion and make us play Yordles in Arms and make us play pirates. And then like the Pirates match is just again the worst against the Jace deck, and so we'll try it against Trundlemere and Ezreal Caitlyn. This Yordles in Arms is not particularly good against Ezreal Caitlyn either, but I think that's just the way we're gonna have to go about it. So sad day. So if we're gonna ban the Sentinels, like it's almost tempting to come in and deal with the Trundle deck, but yeah, I think this is the worst, the lesser of two evils, if you will, given that the Jace deck is, it's just like awkward with them also having all the units. They just have more earlier game plays, as to where you can run into draws against the Trundlemere deck to where they just draw their deck in the wrong order, right? It's much easier to just draw a bunch of expensive shit and not be able to play it with the Trundle deck than it is with the Jace Elise deck. The Jace deck has more early game stuff as like piece number one, and if you're drawing a bunch of like 6-cost spells, so if you're drawing like Vengeances and Shock Blasts, that's at least playable on turn 3, right? But if you're drawing It That Stares and you're drawing Tryndamirs and stuff, those are just straight unplayable until turn 8. And so I think we'll roll the dice in those terms of just let them. You gotta, if you want to do well in one of these tournaments, you got to have something go right every once in a while, and this is where we're gonna look to have something go right. we're just gonna have it happen, and things will work out. But I'm scared. I'm a little scared, man. Ooh, had to open up the window as well. It's getting dark in here. Like I don't know why. It's so bright and shit outside, but man, I felt like I needed a little vitamin D. It's getting me worked up, and hopefully I've got like a nice halo behind me now, much more visible in the picture. But man, I wonder if this guy, since he's playing this like, hey, I don't like to have fun kind of lineup, if he got into some kind of control mirror during the downtime, and then that's how he caught his loss. That would be kind of a shitty way to go. I guess our matchups here are the kind of vengeance story, if you will, given that something like that could have happened to them. All right. The Sentinels locked out. They're gone. They're boomed. There's the ban on Draven Sion, just as we suspected. And let's just go ahead and start it up with Pirates. I don't think either of these matchups are particularly strong, but feeling good with you, Pirates. I think if I had to play one of these matchups twice, though, I would rather play Ezreal Caitlyn twice than play this one twice. And so we'll see how it goes. So we'll hang on to our 1 and our 2 here. We're just going to churn out as much damage as we can and then proceed to hope for the best. And so gonna definitely start with this Saboteur. We'll curve probably into the Grenadier. You do potentially get more damage out of a Mirai Warden, but the Mirai Warden is susceptible to Vile Feasts.
No one's the wiser.
All right. Do your thing, Mirai Warden. Give us a good one. Sparring student? Nah. You're small. You're tiny, my dude. And there's the Vile Feast. Yep. Fucking A, man. So we can come in for a single point of damage. He may actually trade for the Sparring student, but I would think that he's probably just going to prevent as much damage as he can. Ugh, disaster. But that's why we ban out the Sentinels, right? If they're able to start with a, if they're able to start with the, whatchamacallit, like just a 1-drop and then into Vile Feast, that game's done. You've lost that game. So here, we'll see if he has the Avalanche. He seems like he's kind of like thinking about doing it, but he didn't. Let's just take this open boom while we can get it. Like, there's an argument for trying to just punch in as just much damage as we can. Like, if his play this turn is going to be Blighted Ravine, then we would get to deal some more damage at the cost of losing a card in our hand. But I think this is gonna have to do it. We're getting close, right? We've got 3 burn in hand and a zap, which gets us up to 6 burn. We'll do 1 point of damage with the Legion Grenadier, and so, you know, all is not lost. We could potentially get there. Plays Catalyst, sure. Gotta go with the flow. Picked up the Might, our surprise card. It's open deck list now, so they'll get to know that we have Might in our deck. But lots of potential booms there, and this is somewhat interesting. And like, we can just go ahead and drop Island Navigator, and then open next turn with a Might. The downsides, we're just going to end up losing a unit in the process. But it's like, where do we see ourselves, like, winning this game if we don't start to do something now? Like, I could even just say, like, playing Twisted Fate for blue card, just to draw something and then have the full bank on the spell mana. I think that's okay.
Never lost a fair game.
Don't get me wrong. This isn't awesome, but I think this is better than trying to say play Island Navigator and then just hope that it gets to get the Might attack in next turn. All right, down to 17. we're almost at a lower health total than our opponent. Oh, and then a fucking disaster of a draw. We really needed another unit to put on the board this turn. Okay, we'll try. So brutal. But can't make a no attack here. We have to do something. All right, let's get him for a point of damage. Oh, this is so bad. This is bad. Like, there's a realistic chance we won't be able to do any more ground-based damage this game. Like, we might find ourselves in a space to where we can double stun and chunk some damage in. That might be our kind of, like, saving grace for the next turn. He goes big, Trundle flips, sure. It's just, like, if he gets to drop it that stairs next turn, it's pretty bad. He has the mana to feel the rush now, which would be fairly problematic. At least we have a singular stun if that's what it comes down to this turn, but we're not beating a feel the rush, and so let's just go ahead and put something down. You technically have enough health to do it. It's like I'm just trying to, like, envision this world where we get to, say, like, hook the ice pillar out to the side, stun a Trundle, stun another big unit. Well, all right. That's kind of working, I guess.
I'll shoot the wings off a bilge wasp.
Blighted Ravine. All right. He draws. Ooh, he draws 4. I bet that's good. I bet that's good for us. All right, what a dumpster fire. Would we hit Vanguard's Edge? Does that do anything here? Can we win a game with this thing? You have to pick an ally to attack. Huh. I don't think that's going to work. All right, let's go with our stun plan. Doesn't play anything. Huh.
This is our way.
Aight. Point of damage incoming. Get him. Fucking lame-o. You knew this guy was going to be a lame-o, didn't you? You saw the lineup that this guy brought. You said, this guy sits at home and plays himself at chess on the weekends. I knew what was coming.
I'm one of the good guys, but not that good.
All right, we got a misfortune. That represents some damage we can do. We can technically, if we want, I think we just go for big damage here. Again, we gotta have something go right. This represents coming in for 7 damage. Maybe we get to do something with Vanguard's Edge next turn. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but we gotta have something go right. Is that an Entomb? Ooh, a Flash Freeze makes sense. So we get him for 4. He's gonna stay banked at 3 for a Field of Rush. I mean, he just drew a million cards. I'm curious what his angle is here. Could have played literally anything. And he goes with It That Stares. Okay. This is pretty big. We get to gold card the Trundle. We can block the It That Stares. We don't take any damage this turn. And now we have a zap for next turn. He's gonna draw us a Nox and Fervor. It's things. You know, there's a decent chance that Zap just gets hit with a. I wonder if he ever has to just drop like the landmark card onto our Zap. Withering Whale, sure. You can do it, Zap. I believe in you, my dude. You're giving us hope in such a hopeless world. We're gonna drop this Blade's Edge on you. You're gonna come in for so much damage. Stun Spider. You're not gonna cut it. Maybe next turn. Maybe next turn. Things I did not anticipate happening in this tournament. Playing Vanguard's Edge on Zap Sprayfin. Get him. Just boom him as hard as you can. Look at him. Look at him blocking. Do you know how scared this guy is right now? I can tell you. He is very scared right now. Got him to 7. That's not going to be enough. That is a very weird sequence, though. We got so many extra turns. Oh my god, this is a guy that good games too early. I can't wait to play this match with against the Ezreal deck. Uh-oh. I'm bringing some of that good game too early energy to this next one. I'm feeling good about it now. I initially saw that those weren't going to be good matchups, but playing against the guy that emotes too early, you got to feel it. You don't like visibly let them know. You just like hold it in on the inside. You guys get to know because you're watching the video, but ooh, feels nice. I've already got a life story put together for this guy. It's like some 15-year-old, they don't have any friends. They sit at home and play chess by themselves. And to feel better about themselves, they emote before the game's over. Life story of this guy. I'm just making up stories about Edelgard, but man, you did run into a lot of people that, at least in like competitive Magic, that the highlight of their life was having a successful day at Friday Night Magic, and it was sad, you know. There's not too many other ways to put it. It was fairly sad, and I'm sure that spans across all competitive endeavors. I'm sure there's that football player out there that has all the muscles and stuff, but he still has no personality and just lives to play football, and so it's tough to see. Anywho, Edelgard, I'm sure you're a fine individual. I'm just making words out here. Bring in the entertainment to the masses. All right, not a premier start, but it will have to do. We've been picking up these expensive draws with our pirates today, and it's fairly frustrating. Not really looking to start in your opener with the stun spiders, the decimates, or the twisted fates. You're really the thing that I describe as important in these matches is that you get to spend all 6 of your mana on the first 3 turns of the game on units, and then if you're unable to do that, you're probably gonna run into a bit of trouble. should be safe enough to drop a Mirai Warden. Like, they shouldn't have like too many worrisome 6-mana spells here. And then if he wants to actually get this Caitlyn involved this turn, I'm pretty sure that's okay. Give him a decent block on the Crackshot Corsair. It's technically 2 damage. This is our highest damage unit that we technically have right now. And so we'll go ahead and slam in the extra points of damage, though. Try to get in as much as we can. The downside with this is he gets Caitlyn strikes, and so puts more flashbangs into our deck. Sure. Alright, let's see if he opens on us. It's not the end of the world if he does, but we have some at least decent options this turn in terms of gold carding Caitlyn, or stun Spidering her, however we would have preferred to have done it. We're going to gold card now that the combat is over. Just go ahead and remove her. And then maybe we get a profitable turn next turn where, like, we drop the rear guard and then he plays something expensive. We get a stun onto, like, Station Archivist. Something nice could happen here. Something reasonable. He loses out on the values from her. That's probably for the best in terms of how how the flashbangs could go. So he can't Ravenous Flock and he can't Scorched Earth the units we have on board. Okay. Sure, some shenanigans are afoot here. He's not just passing with 6 mana up with with nothing about to happen. Okay. Let's see how good this Tri-Beam was. That's a pretty good one.
Lady Luck is smiling.
All right, we've got him to 9. We need just a little bit more oomph, and we'll be there. There's some definite oomph in Jack the Winner. Slightly awkward turn here. He does get to just Ezreal down Twisted Fate, but curious if he brings in the whole squad. He does. I think we just have to let it be. Now, he has to decide if he wants to just Mystic Shot Jack so that he can play his Ravenous Flock, or if he just wants to take down the free Twisted Fate. Okay. Ezreal's up to 5 ticks now? No, 4. Well, we got double Decimates. That's a thing.
Fortune favors the bold.
I'm just hoping to get a singular attack from Jack the Winner here. It's not ultra likely to happen, but if we do get to attack, that would be sweet. Oh no, is he gonna... he's gonna be able to kill us before the turn starts. Fuck, we're so close. So close. Ugh, god damn it. Like, it feels safer attacking with the Misfortune here. If he actually comes in and takes the trade, he's now limited to 7 damage of units. And so we have a shot this way. Especially if he tries to get overly clever. I don't think we win this game often, but we have him at 4 with a Decimate in our hand. And so that's something, you know, good. That's something positive. Especially, like, if he plays a unit here, that's so good for us. Fuck. Alright. Pull it back. Pull it back and play a unit. Oh my gosh, if we get the Decimate, it's so good. This is the chance for game winners. Pull it back and do something dumb. Pull it back, do something dumb. Make a scout attack or something. Oh my gosh, he's giving us a shot, isn't he? He's really thinking about it. No. This is never good enough, but playing Twisted Fate doesn't do anything. Damn. Yep. Fucking emoters, dude. Fucking emoters. And so, you know, that's about as good as we could hope for. right? We got to play against the Trundlemere deck. They had some kind of really weird fucking draw where we got like 3 or 4 extra turns. And then against Ezreal Caitlyn, we had lethal on the board when we died. If they'd not just immediately gone for it there, the Decimate might have gotten it. And so that is what I was like ultimately worried about with this lineup. I was hoping that this wouldn't happen too much. Like it's like, and kind of like the psychology of these events. There's kind of like 2 pieces to the puzzle, right? There's going to be, at least in an event like this, like if this would be kind of like turning up to a Grand Prix at Magic, this isn't like playing on the Pro Tour, right? This is like, not to downplay what any of our viewers have done, but this isn't like the hardest event in the world to get qualified for. And that was kind of like the barrier for entry into like a Grand Prix. There wasn't a requirement to get in, but if you want to travel to play Magic and pay a $75 entry fee into a tournament, you're probably not doing that just for funsies, right? You've probably taken down a Friday night Magic or 2 in your day. And the level of competition was at least fairly solid once you got into like round 3 and 4 of the tournament. And so where this kind of like thought is progressing is there's a couple of like really common themes that you'll see that are apart from like what are the good decks in the meta. You'll have the people that just show up with the burn decks. You kind of say like, well, I'm not super familiar with the format. And so I'm just going to play the no skill deck and see if I can't put up a good showing today. And that would be the triple burn lineup in Runeterra. And then you have the people that the Friday night at home chess players that think they have a bigger brain than everyone in the world, and so they bring the control lineup regardless of how good it is in the event. And that was what I was like a little bit worried about here. I don't think the full control lineup is particularly good. Because it gets annihilated by a lot of the good decks at the format, right? It has a real struggle with Pantheon. It has a real struggle with Talia Ziggs. And that's kind of the thing that we were looking to prey upon. And so we knew that this was going to be a thing. We were kind of hoping that we didn't run into it, or we only hopefully run into it once the rest of the way. But it's definitely a matchup that we knew was a problem. And we were going to have to get a little bit lucky to win. But that's also something you have to have happen if you want to go deep in one of these things. You gotta hit one of those top decks or have your opponent mulligan to 5 every once in a while if you want to take down a 9-round tournament. So, unfortunate loss, but we're ready for the next one. We'll see you here in 40 minutes. All right, so next round coming up. I'm not sure what to expect out of this. I haven't, just left the tournament. I don't see a quit tournament button, and so as people drop out, I'm not sure what happens to those. And so I think you might get stuck with a lot of buys. And so I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this. I just want to play some games. But I'm not sure if we're exactly going to get that opportunity. And the other thing is I'm curious, like you can still technically make the top cut at 7-2 with a 9-round tournament and 1,000 players. It's something like 1 or 2 people will be 9-0, and then like 10 to 20 will be X and 1. And so there is some amount of X and 2s that would make the final cut, but I'm not sure how they do it here, right? In terms of like a Magic tournament and how all those things work with tiebreakers, you would never make it losing this early, right? We lost in round 1. If you like lost round 1 and then rallied off 7 wins in a row and then lost in round 9, you might be able to do it, but probably not even then. Your tiebreakers are so trash. And so in those terms, we just would never make it. And so we'll see. We'll carry on. If it starts to seem like we're just going to get a bunch of no-shows, then I'm probably just going to stop the recording and go have dinner with the family and stuff. And then if we get to a third loss, I'll definitely call it a day there. But it makes me think, I'm curious how they choose to do that, because I know for a long time Wizards did the same thing, as to where you would just have like a hard cut to top 32, hard cut to top 8, and Grand Prix you would have a hard cut to the next day. And for some tournaments that makes sense, right? If you're playing a PTQ, that's going to be like a 12, a 13 round tournament in one day. you just can't do it. You can't say, okay, we're going to have a top 16 instead of a top 8 and get an extra round in. You'll be there until like 4 in the morning. But with tournaments like Grand Prix, you could say, and they did do, was say, okay, well, X and 2 makes the second day. And so with this, it would be very easy for them to just add in a round of 64 on the second day. And I'm curious if they would ever do something like that. And then you can basically make the bottom end of the tiebreakers play each other, or do some kind of random draw amongst the X2s that says this is how you get into day 2, or get into the top 32, and then the XOs and the X1s get the bye. And so I'm curious, we'll see what happens here. I don't think there's going to be too much coming out of it, but I'm curious in those terms. But all right, so let's see if old Steven 11648 is here. He's bringing the Yuumi Pantheon, our first Yuumi Pantheon bro of the day. We're most certainly going to leave that in, and then the choice is whether or not we want to leave in the Elise, or if we want to leave in the Action Sivir. I don't think there's going to be too much of anything in these decks that is going to be out of the ordinary. Let me check the Action Sivir, right? We did run into that dude earlier playing the kind of weird list that had no birds in it. It only had 2 Broadwings, and it was just like 3 Rite of Negations. Ultimately, like way different from what this guy's playing, right? This guy has a more standard package, a lot more of the lower numbers of interactivity, right? He's got just a single bruiser, a single ruin runner, and not that just like super mid-game package like we saw earlier. And so I was curious about this in our testing, in that if we say run into the full burn lineup to where we have to play Pirates, we have to play Elise, and we have to play against, say, like Darius Ziggs or Ziggs-Nar, or whatever the other burn deck is, do we actually want to play against Elise, right? Because this deck's going to bring a lot of fearsomes, right? You're going to see your Precious Pet, your Fearsome Dogs, your Arachnoid Horrors, Elise herself, Frenzied Skitterer doing a lot of that stuff. And then we just don't have a ton of blockers for that stuff, right? We don't have loads of 3 attack units. And so I was actually considering just playing the Pirate's Mirror, and then allowing our opponents to... or I should just say banning out the Elise at that point. And I think that's what we're going to do here. I just don't really like how our decks line up against Fearsomes, and I think we can probably pick on this Action Sivir a little bit. I'm not entirely certain what like the good Action Sivir matchups are anymore. We haven't been playing it. I have to pull up Balco's site real quick. I think this is at like the current very bottom of the things showing up on the meta report. But let's just take a look real quick. I hope doing this isn't frowned upon. But yeah, like Action Sivir is down here at the bottom. Looks like it has a slightly poor matchup against Pirates, and then our other one is Draven Sion that looks like a coin flip. And so I think that's okay. I'm not super upset about that. And then I think Yordles and ARM should be pretty good there. It's like a lot of that matchup comes down to whether or not they're able to get like a high-powered Petricite Broadwing early, where the Broadwing like comes in and kills a unit, and then it gets a barriered attack, and then it kills another unit. Like they can just get these like real snowbally draws that you can't do anything about, and it's a little worrisome. But I think that stuff coming out of Action Sivir is a little less scary than Elise, especially in terms of they're so bad at blocking, right? Action never wants to block, Sivir never wants to block, and so they can get some pretty awkward draws in those terms. And so we should at least take a peek at the Yuumi Pantheon. This is the deck that we're hoping to be able to beat up on today. And as far as I could tell, there's not a ton of technology in here. He's bringing a Judgment, which I'm not used to seeing, but otherwise looks pretty normal. 3 Cataclysms, 2 single combats, 2 sharp sights, 2 Broadwings in the mix. I think there's the more like aggro-centric versions will load up on the Broadwings. He actually looks fairly light in the early game, right? Of course, he has the 3 copies of Saga Seeker, but just 2 Broadwings, 2 Goats, 1 Brightsteel. That feels like we should be able to take advantage of this with our deck. This seems like something that's like very heavily going to start stacking on turn 3. And then like we're just like, okay, stuns are good. But he is playing Double Bastion and Judgment. This seems like it's geared towards perhaps playing against Draven Sion. Oh my god, is the game done again? Oh gosh. Let's see. It says it's loading. I was curious if this was going to happen today. Okay, we're right back into the preparation. I just want to play some games. This is I don't have the opportunities to play too many tournaments, and so when I get the shot, I just want to do it. So I'm hoping for the no buys. I'm hoping whatever bugs Riot comes across gets squashed, and we're able to play. All right, Elise, you get the ban. I can't remember how it went with that other person. Oh, cool. We get to play the game. All right. All right, everybody. We get to play a game of Runeterra. Props to you, Steven. We talked a lot of needless trash about our previous opponent, one of those dirty control deck players. We bring the serious heat in terms of insults, saying that they just sit at home on the weekends and play chess against themselves. I feel like Steven's a good guy. This guy, he likes to have fun. I can tell. my dude, liking the funs. All right, so up against Action Sivir. I think with a hand like this, we need to just go ahead and hang on to the Demolitionist. If we have what looks to be a hand that can put better stuff on the board, right? If we were starting with, say, like a Crackshot Corsair and a Mirai Warden, or even like a Crackshot Corsair and a Legion Rearguard, I would get rid of the Demolitionist just to look for a better unit. But in this hand, we have to just make sure we stay on curve. Reasonable enough. Again, like the number one strategy, the number one thing you could be doing with these decks, you have to spend all 6 mana on the first 3 turns on your units. And so this is close. We need a 1-drop to do it, but it can pull it off. We got a couple more draws, and just losing out on the 1 mana on turn 3 isn't the end of the world, but just whiffing on turn 2 is. That's certainly terrible. Okay, if he has Treasure Seeker, I'm going to attack.
Captain's orders.
Bullet
Bullet to the face.
to the face. Cool. Now we're picking up the expensive. The deck says, "I got you, fam. I got you. We can bring the expensive bros down here." Is there a world where he ever just passes? And how bad is it if he does? It is pretty bad. We could play the Grenadier. If he has the Chain Vest, then we're going to get boomed so hard. But I think it just like a pass is abysmally terrible for us. So this is okay. We'll still get an attack next turn. And I think I would rather see this dum-dum. I think I'd rather see the Broadwing than see action. Now we can play Misfortune. That was a nice draw. If he wants to block with the Broadwing, it's going to lose its point of health and not be able to take down the Grenadier. We'll see if he has another interactive unit for the Misfortune. They don't have like tons of stuff that can interact well with Misfortune. Okay, well, the Bright Steel does. I don't think we're in a giant hurry yet. We'll just get this single attack in now and see how it goes next turn. Yep. Looking like he may have a sharp sight here. That's completely fine. He's getting like pretty invested in this bird. And we get to drop it down to 1 health if this is a sharp sight play. Okay. Yeah, misplaying these cards so much. We should have just played Scouts, right? We should have just played Scouts. I've had like such little success with Scouts here recently, and it makes me more upset than anyone could imagine. It is just my favorite deck of all time. I love playing with the Broadwing and all the Scouts and the Misfortunes and everything, and oh man, we should have just fucking done it. Let's see what opponent has here. Like if they play Sivir, it's not that bad. We get to punch in pretty hard next turn. We could like drop the gold card to just get the thing off of her, the spell shield off of her, but I'm not into that. I think this is looking like a pretty decent turn for an Island Navigator. Rip Misfortune. That's okay. Turns out we have another one in our hand. We can get another Misfortune down next turn. You fought valiantly, girl. We appreciate the work that you do. And so this should be okay. We're gonna play Misfortune before we attack. He was playing all of those like single combat kind of cards, and so he may have a Cataclysm or a single combat or something, and that's fine. If he wants to 2-for-1 himself to make an empty board to take down Misfortune, that's a pretty decent turn for us. We'll start with the Scout attack here. Try and take the initiative away from him. Action, huh? Interesting. Action seems horrible here. I wonder if he just has like a handful of combat tricks at this point, or he wasn't even playing that many. I mean, he wasn't playing Shield of Durandis. He was playing 2 Shape Stones, I believe. I didn't take a screenshot or anything, but it doesn't seem like he has a lot of special units to bring in here. It's especially dangerous if his angle here is that he wants to say like single combat down the Conservator. This just doesn't work, right? The Island Navigator will survive that way. Waiting. He's devising the biggest of plays. Maybe he's looking at the icons and saying, "Is my unit blocking?" Perhaps, perhaps not. People talk so much trash about these icons. You still see it turn up on Reddit. All right, that was fine. He got our unit for the Sharp Sight. The Merciless Hunter is now weak to our Misfortune plays. It dies to a Twisted Fate if we get to drop him next turn. Still have another unit ready to come down as well. Looks pretty good. Like, I think this is even okay if his angle is to, like, Cataclysm Misfortune here. Like, he has to do something or Misfortune just gets to, like, straight up attack. I think we're okay with that. Like, if we attack with the Misfortune and then he has, like, a Shaped Stone or a Sharp Sight for action, I think that's pretty okay. If he has a second combat trick for the Merciless Hunter, that's pretty decent as well. We're getting pretty good chunks of damage in. It's just like I kind of wish he was just like a little bit lower in health. Did he give up? Did he leave? Steven, I was hyping you up. You didn't just give up on this. Come back. Maybe he had a disconnect as well. There it is. There's the Bright Steel. Alright, so that's going to keep us from attacking with Misfortune, but our other attacks are fine. Just get this shit off the board. Maybe we shouldn't have attacked with the Conservator. That might have been a little bit aggressive with me. I was ready to just get the attacks in and boom, but this is our only Scout unit with the Misfortune down. It's like pretty tough to think that this guy's going to survive, but this Misfortune just like never flips now. Okay, he doesn't take the block. I feel like that was a fairly regrettable attack as soon as we put it forth. I didn't really stop and think of the merits of that. But like I also would kind of think that if he had like a single combat, he probably would have dealt with this thing already. Like it's pretty safe to just like action single combat down the Conservator. So I would at least feel safe in those terms. Not dealing with that shit. Easy gold card. Just get that dum-dum out of here. I don't really care about taking 2 damage from action. He's probably attack with the Protector as well, but that's all completely fine. Is there ever a world where we want to Twisted Fate pick a card here? Like, Jack the Winner's okay. This isn't really like the kind of matchup where I envision Jack the Winner doing anything. I'm kind of leaning towards just cycling the Twisted Fate and the Jack the Winner away. But, like, getting to re-Twisted Fate next turn does seem pretty good. Like, if we attack, he like, he can't even bruiser block Twisted Fate. Does he ever even die? Do we ever just block to get our Twisted Fate off the board? That's actually, like, pretty tempting. The downside to the Twisted Fate block is we don't have great hits for the Demolitionist. But it's like I'm just kind of envisioning like, okay, we block with Twisted Fate. We play the Demolitionist this turn. We have to damage Misfortune, but that's fine. We open with the Conservator next turn, and then we have the Twisted Fate. Well, we won't open with the Conservator. We'll Twisted Fate down the Bruiser.
Charmed, I'm sure.
I think I like this. And this is also a unit that's a good block into our Misfortune.
For the Empire.
See where this gets us, like, slightly scary here. This is a great Cataclysm target now, right? If he Cataclysms action into Misfortune, he's just going to get the quick attack strike and take her down. And so that one is a little scary. But I like where this is going. He's only playing 2 copies of Cataclysm. He's had ample opportunity to do stuff with his spells and hasn't. So it's pretty realistic to think he may not have it. Fuck. Okay. That's painful. Fuck. Alright, so we still on board with this Twisted Fate play? Where we gold card the Bruiser? Or do we just like switch into a hard Jack the Winner style play? I think Jack the Winner will be something for next turn.
I'm always up for a round or two.
So we can bring in the gold card, bring in the rear guard, attack with everybody, chunk in some damage. Like, he has to be like throwing action in front of the rear guard at this point. I guess he can still have some more spells, right? He can realistically get an action flip this turn, but I think it's okay. That's the question. Do we attack with the Conservator here? Can't replay the Waking Sands this turn. But say he takes the free strike with action. He has too many good blocks otherwise. Are any of these attacks good? So say we attack with our 3 non-Conservator units. He puts Ruin Runner in front of Twisted Fate. Sure. The Treasure Seeker goes in front of the rear guard. He takes 2 damage. We still have 2 units back. I think that's okay.
Gotta trust your instincts.
You lost. Took it fair and square.
Okay. Take him to 7. We need to chunk in like little bits of damage here. If he drops a Sivir on us, we're really gonna struggle with this board.
And dumb. You lost.
I get you moving that block over. He's thinking about how the extra overwhelm damage coming from the Ruin Runner. And like, what is Twisted Fate realistically going to do here?
Brave and dumb.
I think we're still okay in the face of Sivir. If he has 1 card in his hand, right? If he has Sivir and the Absolver, then fuck me, you did it. But otherwise, I think this is still going to be reasonable for us. I think if he doesn't get to flip his action until after combat, then we'll be in a much better spot. But we need to pick up some burn and some good stuff here quickly. Legion Rearguard is like the actual worst draw in this spot. I believed in you, fam.
Who's angry for action, eh?
Bring in squad. So I mean, like, these are the easy ones. I think we like still need to come in here and just block this. Like, we're not gonna win on this ground game anytime soon, right? And I think the Absolver is like a fairly real card here, and the Absolver is just never going on to action. So we should get like the action takedown here. Okay. That makes sense. So we lose our Jack the Winner. He keeps action. This is fairly bad. I don't like how we've done this, but... We get an expensive spell off the Conservator. Well, Monster Harpoon's one way to deal with this big boy. He's going to be drawing the card off the Relic, so he'll have 2 at this point. Have a Monster Harpoon into action. Why couldn't we have picked up like the Harrowing? That would have been the way to do it. That would have been the way to do it. Just drop the Harrowing. There's the Sivir. Ew. Can't tell if you can hear the lawnmowers in the background. Sorry if you can. My wife will be so happy. we've had like excessive amounts of rain over the past few weeks, and the lawn looks horrible. We have an agreement. And that agreement is, I don't cut the lawn, and I said I'll just get a guy. I get a guy to do it. I don't want to be outside. I don't want to be sweaty. I don't want to deal with any of this shit. And she's like, well, that costs money and stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it. And so I have a feeling you're not going to do it. She likes to mow the lawn and stuff, but ew. Man, this game. Oh no, we got an emoter, huh? This game was tough. That all came down to that misfortune turn, right? And I think that's still okay. There's only the 2 cards that are really problematic there, where he gets to keep the action under the misfortune. He has the 2 copies of Cataclysm. If he has a single combat or whatever, it feels like those are cards that he would have already played at that point. And then it's like, even I think with like, and to a large degree there, you have to like stop and think. It's like, well, even if he's not going to take this Cataclysm onto her, he does have the option to shut down our Scout unit. He can Cataclysm onto our 1-cost unit, and like having Misfortune would have been quite strong there, but we wouldn't have gotten the flip and gotten those big plays in. But no, it's like so it's like, I'm not doing it. You're certainly going to have these weekends to where you don't do it, and so I was like, I'll pay him to do it every other week, and then if you get a chance to do it in the off week, fine. And if you don't, then it's not that bad. And with all the rain, our guy wasn't able to make it for like over 3 weeks from the last time he did it, and she was getting upset with the state of the lawn and everything. So I can hear him out there. She's going to be super stoked. All right, back to the action. Reasonable enough start. Again, we got a 1 and a 2. Let's look for some cheaper dudes. Found them. Got the squad. We are ready for battle. And so here against Anti-Pantheon in the list that we saw, I'm going to start with the Jagged Butcher. If they have the 1/2 Fated unit, I want them to just take the damage or lose their dude. So I feel like he's the premier start here. Sorry, Misfortune. I'm sorry we didn't win that previous game. You're back. You're ready. You're ready to bring the booms. Just trying to consider if there's ever a world where we just like don't play the Butcher on the turn 1, and then if we draw another, like it's just like way too low in the damage. But now that we picked up another 1-drop, if we went about that in the appropriate way. So let's just go with the most damage, right? We'll go with the Rear Guard. We'll go with the Crackshot Corsair. If they have a Mountain Goat, then we can just not attack with the Corsair and still get a point of damage in. This looks pretty strong. And the Scout. Looking good, Curve. Looking good. Do we ever play the I don't want the Misfortune to fall to like a Cataclysm or to a single combat or something, but I don't think we have the options. Pale Cascade is not a worry whatsoever. Just absolutely. That's some stats. Say what up, Reborn Grenadier. He says, I'm here to fucking boom one time. Boom one time. That's it. Just congratulations. I brought the stats today.
We're off on a new adventure.
Okay. And then we're definitely attacking with Misfortune this turn as well. We're sending in tons of damage. It sucks to lose the Grenadier here, but it's like we're coming in for 7. So as long as we just don't die. Oh, it's 8. Check those mathematics. I was going to say, as long as we just don't die next turn, we should be pretty okay. But we got him on this one. A nice turn 4 kill. Good job, Pirates. Opponent says, God, this guy bringing Pirates. I bet he sits at home alone on Friday nights, plays games of chess by himself. Can you look at their deck in between stuff here? Chain Vest, only 1 Bright Steel, right? 3 Guiding Touches for the heal. 2 Goats, such a small early game package. 2 Broad Wings. What's his removal? 2 Singles, 3 Cataclysms. Blade, Double Bastion, Judgment. Oh my God! What a way for the day to end if we lose to a Judgment. Oh man! Do you all remember when 3.6 patch came out and people figured out that you could play Judgment onto Taric Fiora and like OTK your opponent, and people were like, oh my God, this is so stupid, this is the dumbest thing ever, what a load of no fun doing burst Judgments. God, that's been relevant. Let me envision this scenario where I get 2 unique champions on the board and then cast my 8 mana spell with a bunch of challengers. Jesus. So dumb. So dumb. But alright, we need a little bit earlier action here. I'm going to hang on to the Fallen Rider and then full mulligan everything else. Maybe we should hang on to the Draven, but I would prefer if we could really be starting this with either a Poro Cannon or with a Zonite Urchin. And so I'm going to go for the really aggressive mulligan here. Still hang on to the 2-drop. And we hit an Urchin. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Bring all the heat. Many spices coming right at him. What up, Sion? Ready to break some worlds? Look at that $7 JPEG right here. This is worth it. I guess it's like 3 JPEGs, right? He's got multiple arts. All right, now let's see if opponent has a Mountain Goat for us. If he doesn't have a Mountain Goat, the Risen Rider is quite strong here. He could have just have a Bright Steel Protector as well, but he plays his Faded unit on turn 2. All right. If he has the Pale Cascade to trade with the Risen Rider, that's pretty okay. Sharp Sight would be the problematic one here if he gets to Sharp Sight and have 5 health and take down the Risen Rider, but we can deal with that as it comes. We just gotta put our damages in the middle here and hope for the best on him. Pale Cascade, that's fine. Is he gonna go for the trade or is he gonna take the value block? He says, give me the value block. Okay. Big chunk of damage right at him. Here's our Sentry, the FTP bust technology of the day. Ooh, do we need to just go ahead and drop it now? I was like already envisioning how we were going to just like take the hit from this Saga Seeker and then get some of this other stuff going, but he only has 1 mana. And so I think it's okay if we just lose on one of these 4-drops here, or one of our 4 attack units. Then next turn we can play the Sentry, the Urchin, and the Reborn Grenadier and chunk in for a bunch. So we'll discard Sion. He's a little pricey at the moment. We may not even get to turn 7 in this game, and so he's good to go. And so say, take your pick, my dude. Take your pick. You can have a Fearsome. You can have an Overwhelm. Don't think the Chain Vest matters with this attack. Now, the real curiosity will be if he just passes, and then we have an opportunity to perhaps Mystic Shot the bird. That would be an interesting one. What is his 1 mana play? It's just Chain Vest? Okay. Is there a world where we ever get to Mystic Shot this Saga Seeker? Like if he just like plays Pantheon next turn? I guess we could do it that way. He did have the Chain Vest. Playing that singular copy. Okay. I still like this angle. This is like slightly awkward if he has a Pantheon here, right? If he just gets to drop Pantheon and have a really good blocker. But how choice is it if he says, here's my Zenith Blade? So sweet if that's the angle. But right, this is why we enjoy these stun spiders here. If he just goes completely tall on the Saga Seeker, the game's over. Right, we're coming in for 12 damage. He's pretty dead at that point. Even if his play is like Mountain Goat, this is still pretty good for us. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're too scared of Zenith Blade, right? He should have a pretty tough time killing us next turn. He does have the Pantheon. F. Okay, well, that's where the stun has to go now. So I assume he's going to put, say, like the Saga Seeker in front of the Arachnoid Sentry. He's going to take 7, 8, 9, fall to 7. I don't think he does the big block onto Risen Rider. Oh, we get an extra point in. Take him to 6. That's pretty close. Pretty close. So let's see what we draw, right? We have the opportunities now to drop the Boom Baboon and then get a perfect draw on the Poro Cannon. I didn't want to have to spend this turn playing Get Excited so that we could hopefully so that we could hopefully get the small unit on board. Really want to just send all this burn to face. And I mean, I think the actual angle we want to take here is like he's down to 3 mana. There's not a lot that he can do. I think we're okay to just keep passing. If we go to our next turn and just have the 3 mana, I think that's okay. But ideally, he's going to make an attack here. We'll get both of the Poros on the board. And then we can try and just open next turn. Open with the 2 Poros and then have 5 burn in hand. How close is Pantheon to flipping? He's not. Answered that question quick. You can't have single combat-y kind of cards here, which would be unfortunate. Oh, the Guiding Light goes on the unit. Uh-oh. Is that good? Has to be good, right? Sion ready to party next turn. Okay, so let's bring it like this. It does a couple of things. If he wants to block, which he has to do, it's with Pantheon. We want Pantheon to go down. Love to see him just spend a bunch of mana on some dudes, right? If he's going to spend combat tricks to protect his Pantheon and Saga Seeker, that's great, as we're out here trying to burn him out. And so want him to get involved with this combat and spend a bunch of mana. He doesn't take the bait, which is fine. It's understandable. I'm pretty convinced that he has a Guiding Light in his hand at this point. But we don't have to just like pass here, right? We have the dude and stuff. The 4 Glory is pretty interesting. Like I can't imagine he's in the space to where he just gets to kill us next turn with his Saga Seeker. It doesn't even have Overwhelm. Is Pantheon ready to flip? Or Sion? Yeah, Sion will flip. It's just like the Glory Seeker is just like the much better aggressive unit, but we don't need to deal a ton of damage here. So let's take the assembly line. Then if he passes, we'll pass. Want him to drop below 2 mana. Okay, he doesn't do it. That's fine. We can get Sion on board. He's ready to block. I asked him if he was ready to block, and he said, abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely, bust. I'd love to make a block for you. So this board's not completely scary, right? If he wants to get scary, he's going to have a Zenith Blade, and he's going to have a Golden Aegis. And so the downside for him, the bummer for him, is if he wants to go like Zenith Blade, attack, Golden Aegis, then that doesn't work with a Sion on the board. And so I think we're okay here. But he can certainly present some scary plays.
Watch your toes.
Okay. Check that animation. How you feeling? Knows he can't get burned out right now. We don't have the mana for that. There's the Guiding Touch. Was not surprised to see that. But we should have a pretty fun time dealing with this Sion now. We're just in a great place to open next turn. They don't have the tools to deal with this thing, especially with us getting rallies out of the attacks. They have to do weird stuff like Concerted Striking twice, and then he's still taking damage from Poros and other cards. Wounded White Flame, absolutely. I'm gonna keep passing it, dog. But yeah, in terms of our next turn, I 100% want to open attack. I don't want to get in this space to where we start dropping units, and then our opponent goes, LOL, you know, you burnt your rally. And so we really want to get this attack in right now. So if he does Concerted Strike the Sion, we still get the 2 damage in with the Daring Poros. To whereas with the other attacks, what are you doing here? It's like, do we ever get to like Roar the Slayer on this? And then one of the cutesy things to take note of here as well is if he like manages to get the Saga Seeker to where it doesn't kill Sion and he only falls to 1, that would be like a Guiding Light kind of card. Judgment? We knew the Judgment was out there. We just didn't believe it. Okay. Let's bring this heat in the middle of combat. So now if he wants to prevent the Sion, he's gonna get the rally. Whew, okay. GG's, my dude. Wasn't perfect play from a FTP bust, but it was enough to take down the match. And that's what we were looking to do, right? As we complained about the chess bro and his anti-aggro lineup, we brought our lineup geared to beat Pantheon, and so it feels pretty decent to come in and just beat Pantheon twice, right? That was the idea with the deck. If you weren't sure, what we were planning to do, it was beat Pantheon and beat Talia Ziggs. And so I'm glad that a lot of the decisions that we made in terms of these decks worked out fantastically there, right? The stun spiders were good. The pirates just annihilated Pantheon. The stun spider put in a lot of work. I really liked how that played out, and the strategy happened. And so that does bring up one point. I guess I don't know if I've ever talked about this concept in one of my Battles with Bust videos, and so treat for you for sticking with us. But it's in terms of a general strategy and a game plan, right? A lot of times, people just like play the game. You say, okay, I have mana, let's put dudes on the board and attack and stuff, and they never really like formulate a plan with what they're going to do. They never stop and say, hey, am I the aggro in this match? Am I the control in this matchup? What are the important cards in this matchup? Do I need to focus on this specific champion? Can I play burn here? Like as we play against Pantheon, do we want to play a strategy to where we focus a bunch of damage on the one unit that they've really built up? Or do we want to just ignore his units and chunk all the damage to face that we can, right? Those are, having game plans and having strategies. And you really need to have one. And where this kind of like point is going is it doesn't have to be a good one. You can work on that as you progress as a player in terms of figuring out a good game plan for a deck or for a matchup or just a strategy in general. But you have to have a game plan, even if it's not a good one. And that's one thing that is very valuable to stop and think about is what is my game plan in this matchup? What is my game plan in this situation? And again, even if it's bad, you at least thought about it. And as kind of growing as a player, if you can kind of maintain the mindset of winning doesn't matter, improving as a player matters, and then I will in turn get more wins as I improve as a player. That's one of the big factors into leading into that is just saying, hey, what's my game plan here? Doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be right, but it has to be something, and then you should try and follow through with it, see how it goes. But that being that, looks like we're on the break now. I don't know what to do with myself. Like this is why tournaments are so awkward for me, and that it's just like it's my whole day, right? I had to sign on at 11 in the morning to get it into the event. It is currently 5 o'clock where I'm at, so we're already 6 hours in. We still got 4 rounds to go, and then we gotta sit through all this time, and so. Like this is just, I see like the pros and cons to each of the various formats, and where I'm going is in terms of a single day tournament or in a league. If you're, just doing like one big shot, you got one shot at it to assemble 1,000 people, then that format works. But if you're trying to be more inclusive of everyone, then the league format is what works a little bit better. And I just at the place I'm at in life, the league format is what works for me. I get it for Riot in the standpoint of these tournaments are advertisements for the game, right? This will draw people to the Twitch channel. The Twitch channel will just say, wow, this game looks great, I should start playing it. It's an advertisement for the game. That $60,000 prize pool or $50,000, $40,000, whatever it is, that is just a pure advertisement that they value higher than like banner ads or whatever it would be. And so you do get like a lot more visibility with the big one-shot tournament. Nobody gives a shit about a league, right? You're not going to tune in to Twitch and watch the league over and over again. Magic tried to do that, and it was just wildly unsuccessful. I don't know if the Hearthstone League is still going on. It's just a pretty tough thing to pull off. But in terms of what is inclusive for more players is having that kind of league format to where I can play, they say, okay, if you want to achieve round 2 of the league, you have to go 7-2. You just have to make sure you get your 9 games in at some point during the week. And then the downside to that is, the advertisement level is low. If you get to the end of the week and say, it's like 2 hours before the league closes and we have 8 wins, it may not be able to find us a round 9 opponent. And so it either just doesn't match make us, or, it match makes us way down to some way and like with like 2 wins or something. And so people can game the system or whatever. But every system has its faults. But I get why they don't kind of do that. I'm just saying what would be more convenient for me. And that's what really matters in this world, right? And some kind of league system would be way more convenient for me. I go to bed at like 10 o'clock at night. And if you look at the last round, when is this, 21 o'clock? 21 o'clock is 9 p.m. This bitch doesn't even end until my bedtime. And I still got to do like a recap and do some editing and get the video posted and stuff. Fucking A. I'm gonna be at this until like, who knows? Maybe into tomorrow. Fucking A. So, well, anywho, I hope you all enjoy the break. I gotta take mine. Round starts in 45 minutes. All right, round 6 coming up. I need a better way to transition these things. I'm sure my nice rant before the other one was gonna bleed into what I had for you here, which was, drink your water, eat your food, playing a live tournament, or, even if you're realistically just playing at your house, your apartment, whatever you do, take a shower, clean out your butt. Nobody wants to smell that. So. It's pretty fair, You don't want to run upstairs from the basement, run past Ma and have her smell your stink butt. And so seems legit to me. I think it's probably really just good advice for pretty much anything. And so but don't worry about me. I got some food. I got some water. I already took a shower this morning. My butt shouldn't be stinky, and so we are good and cool. This lineup, and so this should be pretty straightforward. What we're going to do here, we're going to ban out the Sun Disk, and then we're going to play against Talia, Ziggs, and Anti-Pantheon. This isn't the kind of like lineup that I expected to see a lot of. I didn't expect it to be like this hardcore coming at us, but I was expecting to see, again, quite a bit of Talia, Ziggs, quite a bit of Anti-Pantheon, and I guess up to this point we realistically have the one round that was a bye. I don't remember what there was, but we played against the Talia Ziggs guy once, didn't have to play the matchup. We played against the Pantheon guy in the last round, beat him twice, and then of course one of our losses came to that full control deck lineup, and so. It's at least nice to see some of this strategy unfold. I'll talk about this a little bit more in the recap section, but we'll take a peek at the Azir deck just for shits and giggles, if you will. I guess this is pretty straightforward. I never play this deck. It's weird to me to see that they only play 2 Endless Devout. The full 3 Quicksands are why people these days are switching to the attach theme, since you can't Quicksand away the attach. You can still hit with the elusives, and otherwise, I guess that's straightforward. But let's see what's happening in the decks we're going to have to play against here. And so, in terms of early plays in the Talia Ziggs, the smaller package, if you will, the full 3 Chemists, but only 1 Prep and 2 Explosives. Okay, playing double Pokey Stick, sure. 2 Preservariums. On down the way, the kind of more important ones here. He's got 2 Quicksands, 2 Rights, sure. A couple of other incidental things. Only 2 Rite of the Arcane is pretty standard these days. He's only playing the 1 Unleashed Energy. Okay. 2 Naturalists, not a big deal. And then the things we're looking at here, 2 Rite of Negations for our burn package, 2 Herald of the Magus in the arsenal. So a little bit of top end here. Definitely a little above the average, I would say. We tend to play, at least with our things, we play a little bit more aggressively with the early game package. And so reasonable enough stuff there. Again, 2 Rite of Negations, 2 Pokey Sticks. No Shape Stones is one that's kind of important to remember here. They even play, there's the Absolver. I was like, are they even playing the Absolver? And so their only combat tricks, again, are going to be Shape Stones and then technically Pokey Sticks. Okay, and then onto the Pantheon. This guy is playing more of the early game package. He doesn't have the Petricite Broadwings that we were worried about earlier, but he has the 2 Mountain Goats, the 2 Bright Steels, so he does have something that he can play on turn 2. Everything else looks pretty straightforward here. Double Bastion, no judgments today. Don't have to see that one. The 3 Cataclysms, 2 single combats was straightforward. He is playing the full 3 copies of Sharp Sight, 3 copies of Pale Cascade, but only 2 guiding touches, and so his combat effectiveness will be a little bit higher, but he's not playing the full heal package and the guiding touches, and so those are the kind of big things for us to pull out here in terms of the Talia Ziggs. Again, there's no shaped stone. There is 2 Pokey Sticks, 2 Quicksand, so they're fairly acceptable. And then he is playing a bit of the big package, if you will, with both of the Heralds and the Arsenals. And so he's looking to really sacrifice off the landmarks to get this Herald activated, but pretty straightforward. Otherwise, Anti-Pantheon, again, a little bit more early game oriented than the previous guy, but a fairly standard list coming from him. Okay, no chain vests in this one. Cool. Happy enough with that. And so I think that this is probably one where we'll see them come in and just ban pirates. I think that's a fairly straightforward angle when you're playing Talia Ziggs. I think the matchup was like 60-40 in Pirates' favor in terms of Talia Ziggs. If we pull up our spreadsheet of goodies here, this is like on the Anti-Pantheon up top, the strongest matchup for them is the Draven Sion. The worst is the Pirates. Same with the Talia Ziggs. Pirates is a pretty crushing blow against them. Draven is a little bit closer to even. I was thinking, where's the Sun Disk? It's down here in the not awesome land of matchups. They most certainly just have to ban Pirates, right? If you see like a 71%er against one of your decks. And so I wanted to stop and look at this and see if there's a world like we ever just let them play the Sun Disk. It's not there. It's certainly a favorable matchup that we're happy to play against, but there's nothing like too compelling that says, oh yeah, we're letting the Sun Disk happen. All right, ban as expected. So cool. Let's get into battle. Oh. I didn't consider which we'll start with. I like to start with the lowest win rate deck, and so we'll just play twice with these Draven Sion if we have to. Pretty sure that was right. Yordles and Arms was pretty positive across the board there, right? Yordles and Arms is basically the same deck as Pirates, right? It's just 1% less in each of the matchups here as to where the Draven Sion is significantly weaker. It's in the 50s as opposed to the 60s, and so. Alrighty. So let's see how this goes here. We are up against the Talia Ziggs, and I just want to have an early game board of units. And so I don't like starting with the Fancier, but as we talk about the Fancier, this is his job, right? He's not an ideal 2-drop, but it's better than nothing. And so as we're coming down here and mulliganing into this super awkward hand, you can see where the Fancier is just required. So we can at least make this setup of where we drop the Fancier on 2, the Dredger on 3, the Lost Soul on 4. And it's not just it's not complete disaster land. So, okay. Major attack. Here comes the Fancier. It's like I'm kind of interested in Shock Blast, but this is a deck that should have serious issues with the strength in numbers. They just don't have the interactivity to deal with this. And then the Shock Blast doesn't kill units that we actually care about, right? It doesn't kill Ziggs. It doesn't kill Talia. I think this is a powerful addition in the strength in numbers. Okay, he goes for value. Looks good to me. So many Scions. It's a tempting no attack here. Like, we do have the opportunity to just build up some board. And like it's just like, say he has Talia in hand now, and he's going to have some opportunities to just boost this Devout. I think we can just pass here. We're not going to really achieve much on this attack other than play into his game plan. Okay, so as we look at this, I'm like really excited to just drop the strength in numbers next turn. I'm thinking here I want to just drop the Sump Dredger. This is going to let us bank up 2 mana. Do we need 2? We need 3 mana next turn, right? So we have to go with the Fancier. Okay, that's fine. It also gets us in the space to where if he wants to hook the unit, he can't kill off his own Endless Devout. And Give It All should be okay here. It's like, wow, we're just never going to get a chance to use it. Let's take the 4 Glory in case we need to take down Talia. Sure. Inventive Chemist, you got it. Strength in numbers. Not... Bring us to the expeditions, if you will. No, nose. That's a problem. Okay. So do we have to just like pause here now? I don't really like this attack anymore. I think it's okay. He's still not really doing anything.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
So he's still got one Roiling Sands on the board. A destroyed landmark is going to flip his Ziggs. Not anything that we can really do about that at this point. And we have to get back to getting dudes on board. And so let's go with the Sump Dredger. If he wants to hook this with Ziggs, it's okay. And then we'll be in a... We still have a Mystic Shot for if he makes an attack on us here.
I just can't wait. Here we go.
Ooh, that was pretty devastating. I didn't stop to ponder the Rite of Negation. I just got like all built up in my head how sweet it was going to be. He did spend a Mana Crystal on that, though. That's kind of telling in terms of him like probably not having the arsenal or having the big Maguses in his hand. Okay, so we have a couple of options, right? We can still just Mystic Shot the Endless Devout to protect our 4-3, or do we want to take down Ziggs? And I'm leaning towards just taking down Ziggs. We'll make a block like this. Well, what if we just take it, and then next turn we plan to come in and just hook him with... I think we can try it. We can try and hook him with the For Glory. If this fails, it's kind of miserable, but... He's already played the one Rite of Negation. Let's go for stats here. We should be able to chunk in a big amount of damage next turn. If we play the 4 Glory for the 2 units, and then we hook the Ziggs, and then whatever else his other play is. This, oh man, if he's stalling for a burn spell, though, this is going to be slightly disastrous. He has the Destroy a Landmark, deal 4 damage. It's going to be painful. Wouldn't have mattered which unit we played in those terms, right? Whether the Risen Rider or the Draven. But him getting this thing on board is kind of suck. Unraveled Earth. Okay. That's fine. So he'll get to Domus for 4 off of the Ziggs. Right? We're going to drop 2 units immediately. We're pretty close to dead with this. Pretty close. It's going to take us to 4. We do have a ton of burn in hand. And so if we can get in this 8, that will take him to 12. And then we have 3, 6, 7, 8 in hand. So we're a little short. Yep. Takes us to 2.
I'll cut them apart. You are mine.
And here comes the quicksand. Pokey stick. Okay. It's not a complete disaster, but it's not good. Did we just die to the bomb? Yeah, we just died to the bomb. Okay. And so that's tough. Getting our 8 mana spell counterspelled by a Rite of Negation is pretty painful, but the kind of flip side of that is they're gonna mulligan away the Rite of Negation like literally every single time, right? That's not a card that they're ever gonna keep, and they're only playing 2 copies. And so I don't think you run into it that frequently. And then if it is successful, you just win the game. Now, there is like a little bit of argument that maybe we should just be playing units, and that kind of sets it up a little bit better in terms of finding an opportunity to just like squeak that out on the board. But like that game is 100% over if he doesn't have a Rite of Negation. I'm pretty sure I still stand by that play. All right, got a full discard curve here. Sion's been showing up in mass. He says I got the skins. You gotta take a peek at me. We drew all 3 copies of him last game. We've already drawn one here. He says, "Look at me, fam. I'm big. I'm big these days." Totes my goats. Sure, we'll let him strike. It's okay. Oh, he doesn't go for it. So I think we just look to boom in the damage here. We can use the Sump Dredger, discard the Reborn Grenadier, and come in for a big hit. I think this is good. He doesn't get to interact with it too favorably. Ooh, and another discard. Nice. Like, what's he going to do? Play a Zenith Blade on his Saga Seeker? That seems kind of suck. This is okay. His blocks here still aren't that good.
No closer.
Are you the one?
Okay. There's the Zenith Blade. Sure, a little bit scarier this round, but gives him the opportunity to chunk in a big hit later. But I think this is fine. I'm going to switch to being mana efficient. We're going to drop the Revenant, so next turn we can play the Dredger, play the Chompers, and then hopefully either just like kill one of his units or hook the Saga Seeker away from combat. Got a big burn package now, that's for certain. Totes my goats. He's got a 3rd unit. This kind of sucks, but I feel like this is more likely him just starting to play spells. There's not a Cataclysm. Curious way to go about that. Going to take 7. Felt like there was going to be another spell there. Interesting. Does he ever like Golden Aegis and have a way to kill us here? Huh. So close to the lethal. We gotta just start blocking. Those just not die, right? Now, the real question is, can we actually, like, play any cards here? Like, if he has a Golden Aegis, then we're pretty hosed. I think we just have to accept that this sucks, pass into next turn, and now we have some time to set this up a little bit better. So this is kind of like angle number 1, is we'll just try and hook the Saga Seeker out of combat. And then otherwise, we should just be able to burn him out from here. Needs like a Cataclysm plus a Golden Aegis, and we beat that. We just start sending to the Nug. Let's start with the Mystic Shot. Okay, I'm going to switch to Nox and Fervor now. He has ways out of Nox and Fervor, right? He can like single combat this thing down to where he should have more issues if we go into next turn and we're able to say like get excited Mystic Shot. There's just more opportunity for this spell to go wrong, right? He just spent all of his mana here.
I stand this day, a man against all gods.
Okay.
Is this the face of fear?
Let's see where it gets us. We're right there. We're on the cusp. Ooh, burn spells. Alright, well, let's block this guy and see what happens. Here's a Nox and Fervor. If that's not going to do it, we got to get excited. If that's not going to do it, we got 2 Mystic shots. Alright, good job, Sion. Good job. Now we get to play our better matchup with the Yordles in arms. Take a quick peek at this. I don't think he has too much interactive stuff that the Yordles in arms cares about. The 3 sharp sights are good, but that's one of the spaces people have been cutting. Alright. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, pretty reasonable start. Don't get excited. I'm not like the hugest fan of starting with Flame Chompers, but we already have the Urchin. And I think like the Poro Cannon's a tough keep. It's such a good curve filler, but we don't have any other juicy cards for it at the moment. But I think it's worth a keep here, as we just picked up a Boom Baboon. It's like as soon as we pick up any other discard, then we're going to be super happy that we already have it. Right. Not giving him the option. I'm just going to go ahead and chunk the damage in now. And then we have a potential just like rehook later for the Saga Seeker. Say, deploy them damages, please. If I may. No play from opponent. I was like, that's kind of suspect, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. The question is, like, how invested do we want to get in this turn? I'm kind of leaning towards, like, hooking the Saga Seeker, but then just leaving the Brightsteel Protector alone. But let's start with the Urchin. See if we cycle into something cool. Another Urchin's kind of cool. I don't think we want to cycle away the Poro Cannons, though. Maybe we do. We're, like, most certainly playing Bandle City Mayor next turn. So we'll get in for 6, right? He's going to put his 3-2 in front of the Boom Baboon. We hit for 6 with all of the Urchins. Urchin aggro, Urchin.deck coming right at you. That's a pretty good start. What do we got in here from the Mayor? The Pompous Cavalier's reasonable, but I'm leaning more towards this Loping Telescope as he gets like really invested in this this Saga Seeker. If we pick up a Equinox, that could be pretty big. The flip side is like, are we ever going to get to do that? And the reason I guess I'm kind of like double interested in this is we've got the Mayor on board now, and then that's going to cheapen up our 3-mana Yordle. Or our 1-mana Yordle, I should say, and then we're just going to open attack next turn, and so we'll have the opportunity to drop the Telescope after the fact. Unfortunately, have to take all of this. I would like to put the block in front of the Mountain Goat, but if he drops a Pale Cascade and gets to prevent the damage, it's just too bad for us. Ooh, an interesting Hexplosive Minefield. That could be like a gigantic hit here. We could actually piece together some pretty nasty turns next turn. I don't think we're going to need to do it. We're just going to open here, but getting a potential shutdown on the Saga Seeker is huge. Okay, 11-piece Nugget coming in. He's going to prevent 3. The awkward thing here is we have the almost lethal with the Get Excited Mystic Shot. But we're like, I would like to cheat out another card before we just come out and go for it. Oh, he falls to 3, though. That's kind of a big deal. He has a Concerted Strike to take our dude down. Okay, no combat tricks are going to get us out of that. So I think we still want to go for this Loping Telescope, right? If we hit Crescent Strike, Equinox doesn't just generate celestial units, right? It's a celestial that costs 3 or less, and so we have that opportunity to hit. So the scary thing here is we only have 2 health to put in front of the Saga Seeker. If he like opens and goes all in with combat tricks, we can be pretty scared, but if we get to like Crescent Strike anything this turn, the game should be done. So we need to kind of keep this 4 mana on lockdown. We have the full 3 spell mana anyways. We should be okay in these terms. Like if he tries to play a unit and play a Golden Aegis or something. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are we dead to that? Oh, we're 1 short, aren't we? Oh, well, we could. You can't stun this and get through it either way. Fuck. Just have 5 damage. Man, we could have put a block on him earlier, but little unfortunate. That's going to be our death. GG, my dude. GG. Whew. Sad day. Sad day. So, our event is done. I'm still happy with our performance, though, with the way that this turned out. I was hoping to, of course, beat that. That is kind of like a disaster losing that last one, right? Let's be real. As we're intending to just pick on Talia, Ziggs, and Pantheon, and just to drop some matches. But that's kind of the nature of it, right? We're 60-40 favorites in there. We're nowhere near like an 80 or 90% favorite or something, and so certainly always losable. As we were really hoping to hit some luck in those control deck matchups. We kind of fell short there against the Pantheons. And so to kind of recap, this was fun. This was interesting. I admittedly don't get as much experience in the tournaments. This is just like super tough for me to do, right? If I go and like look at the time on this video, it's only going to be like 3 hours long. And so there isn't like a lot of consolidated gameplay here, but in terms of actual time for me, this has taken 7 hours. Like I had to, essentially take an entire day to come in and play this. And I'm not complaining. It's just the kind of nature of the beast. And so I hope that, like in terms of Riot, they kind of do 2 things. On the one hand, I love playing Gauntlet. I think it's an exceptionally fun format. I would rather play Gauntlet than play Ladder. It's just that much fun, at least to me. And that is the place that I would be getting best of 3 practice. I would be getting tournament practice is playing in the Gauntlet, but the Gauntlet is open for like 2.5 days, 3 days. Like I think it opens up on like Friday afternoons and then closes on Sunday evenings or Monday morning or something. And so like my ability to play Gauntlet is extremely limited just in the time that it's available for play. And then tournaments are just extremely tough for me to pull off. And so if I want to come out and get some practice, if I want to get some real world experience in tournaments and kind of get a feel for what's out there and what's going on, I just absolutely can't do it. I can't play a 5 or 6 hour tournament on a weeknight. I have to like really invest in saying like, okay, well, I have to like organize with the family that I'm going to be unavailable all day. I have to like wake up early and get all my shit done before the thing starts, and then just plan on being unavailable for like a 12-hour period. It's just as a 30-something professional with a family, it's tough to pull off. And so it's like a real struggle for me to like get in and grind these out. And so it's like in terms of what I would like to see from Riot, it's they had a lot of problems with the tournament mode itself, right? The seasonals apparently just doesn't count. I don't know what that means, right? It was it seemed like an APAC rioter that was kind of describing the policy, and they were just like, well, this just doesn't count. And so I'm not sure what it just doesn't count means. It doesn't count for Worlds. That was made clear. But do they intend to still pay out for the event, right? And so if you make top 32, are you actually playing for money tomorrow? Riot never said anything about that. And if that's not the case, and they've just kind of like officially said, hey, this is a dry run seasonals, is this going to be like replayed in the next week or in the future at some point? It's all extremely unclear. And so that kind of is what it is. Riot hasn't been in the tournament game for that long. I expect some like hiccups along the way, but the kind of downside to that is the tournament thing is directly in the client. Like it's really unfortunate that they aren't running more tournaments than just this, right? And so whether or not that is like putting together like a Friday Night Magic can play 4 rounds of a tournament kind of thing or whatever, I feel like I'm not really surprised that things have gone wrong, right? If you look at something like Magic Online, they run tournaments literally all the time, and so I think that's kind of a bummer. And I think the kind of concept of Magic Online, I think that they just do this style of event way better. I think they have the really positive method of making money for the company and giving a good player experience in there. I don't know what they call it. It's the like monthly premium, bi-monthly arena open, arena challenge. I don't know what it's called, but it's like day one is a rebuy event. It probably costs like $50 or $60 to play. It's in the league format, and so you play like 5 best of 3s or you play 7 best of 1s, and then if you win that league, then you get to play in the second day to where money and big prizes are passed out. And so if you want to be the big grinder and spend a bunch of money, the option is there. You know, rebuy tournaments are always great in terms of generating money for the house. It's in that setup to where it's a league or a gauntlet as we would see it. And so I don't have to play 20 minutes of matches and then wait around 40 minutes. And so I can, more easily say, okay, well, in the qualifying rounds that don't really, have much weight to them, I can just play 1 or 2 and be done and get my matches in. And then if I have to, like seriously be in the money rounds, I can tell my family, it's like, okay, well, we're close to the money. I got to take this seriously. I could pull in a few hundred or a grandy if things go nicely. And so I hope those things are all, kind of being thought of. It's like, to me, I just try to think of like, okay, well, what is the minimum effort thing that Riot could do to where they kind of have tournament support out there, and that is it. I think that's one of the fantastic things that Magic has going for it, and I don't get why Riot has tournaments in the client, but they only support 6 tournaments a year. I don't get why gauntlets are only 3 days long. I don't get why when the tournament is coming up, the time that you would want to be testing for it is in the gauntlet, but they're closed for 14 days. Like, it's just really unfortunate that the kind of premier best of 3 activities, you just don't have any way to prepare for unless it's outside of the game. And so, that's kind of a bummer. And so those are at least my kind of like Riot-centric takes. My FTP bust takes in these are, I'm not like real, like it's weird to me, like in terms of the meta and the way that we see things here. Like in Magic and in Hearthstone and in every other like competitive card game I've played, the meta sorts itself out really quickly. There's going to be like 3 or 4 decks that are probably 70% of the meta. In Magic, I think things are a little bit more diverse now, as to where you see like 5 or 6 decks that are like 70 or 80% of the meta, and then there's that like 20% outlier thing. But I don't know if it's just like that Magic and Hearthstone haven't happened because there's just like such a greater population of players, or what the deal is. But these like ultra really diverse metas make it a struggle to kind of like put these lineups together. And so like as we were looking at this lineup, we were kind to try to meta around a bit in the decks we were expecting, and we did see like 3 matches of Talia, Ziggs, and or Pantheon, but that's still just like 50% of our matches. That is like nowhere near enough to devote a core strategy to, and so I think I guess there's 2 things there. It's like if the meta ever does get to where it breaks into the bigger decks being more dominant, then I think we could do something like this. But I think in most part we're going to see that we should just be bringing good card decks, or not good card decks, but just good matchup decks. And so it just seems like it's like a really great place to be bringing I'm not specifically saying like this exact lineup, but just like the 3 highest win rate decks. If you just come out and bring like Pirates and Yumi Pantheon and the Aphelios Fizz deck, then it just feels like you're in such a good space. Like you can of course run into some like nightmare lineups, but like as our deck here trying to play Pantheon Talia, the control deck lineup we saw earlier, like I don't really feel like these are going to have a lot of success because you have to have like a good run in the event, and you're not going to find those specific matches with enough frequency, and so I feel like probably the best lineup to bring to this thing was it was kind of an interesting post from Dr. LOR. He does a lot of the meta analysis. It's basically Dr. LOR and Balco and Legna, I believe, that do a lot of the stuff, and I really follow and have a high respect for the stuff Dr. LOR does. And he basically sat around and did some mathematics, and it's like that he's basically able to kind of like converge what the format should look like, and what I think it probably would look like if it was Magic or if it was Hearthstone. And it's basically like the top 3 decks are Yumi Pantheon and Sion and Aphelios Fizz. And like I think that lineups like that are probably what we should just be bringing to these things, and not trying to focus so much on hitting specific matchups, and focus more so on just playing the best decks available that don't really get crushed. And so I talked about it a little bit earlier as to where like Aphelios Fizz is probably the best deck, and that's something that we just plan to ban every time. We saw it once today, and that was the buy, right? And then the decks that were worrying me were like iterations of Aphelios Fizz, didn't see any of that. And so it's just like really wild to me what we see in LOR in terms of the meta, and it just being kind of like unable to predict and choose what we're going to play against. And so it's interesting. It's tough. I'm curious if as the game grows, if that's something that'll sort itself out. And I'm also curious if it's not so much a matter of the meta, like that there's enough players, right? I don't exactly know how the stuff works, but all of these games use the same system to where you just have to win more games than you lose, and then you hit Masters. And like Hearthstone, at least when I was playing it a lot, would have like legend level players. They would hit like 10 to 15,000 on the last few days of NA. And Magic, at least when we were tooling around with it in Limited, I think in Limited you were seeing like 5,000 Masters level players, and I think you would probably be closer to that 10 in Constructed. And I'm curious where LOR gets. But where I'm kind of like sidebarring from that idea, if it's just not the volume of players, if it's just the volume of cards, and we haven't seen enough cards hit the game yet to where there's just like a high enough like power level of cards to where the meta can diverge like that. The other thing is that this is a champion-centric game, and so that plays into it as well. But I'm curious if like we come back to this and revisit a year from now or 2 years from now as more cards have been printed, if that's actually what separates everything in terms of the power level. But I mean, with something like Hearthstone and Magic, there's the standard rotations, and so we still see these things in standard, which is 2 years of cards, and we've hit that or eclipsed it in LOR now. So just a thought. Maybe it's a thing, maybe it's not, but not entirely sure how that is. But at the end of the day, our battles are done here. I don't see a way to concede on here. That's kind of strange to me. I don't want to play anymore, but there's no way for me to just drop out of this event. I guess maybe if I exit the game, it'll do something, but no, it's not my problem. Maybe they'll invent that later. But at any rate, we're getting rambly. We're done. It's getting late for Bust. We're going to have to call it there. So that will do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. You learned how to play a seasonals a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.